Media. Stay ahead of the curve with our cutting-edge reporting and accurate breaking news coverage.
We're having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Hear it here first on Nationwide 90 FM. Tune in, turn up the volume, and listen. We bring a mix of news, entertainment, and sports to your lives.
Nationwide 90 FM's live and continuous coverage of the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary.
News and discussions week mornings.
Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning.
Entertainment in the afternoons, then news again in the evenings.
Nationwide news at this hour. Fired.
Also, tune in to the entertainment and sports shows in the nights and on the weekends.
It is Boy Things After Dark right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
Everything is news, from current affairs and entertainment to sports, business, and other categories.
Nationwide 90 FM. This is Beanie Man. Give it to them. Zaga, Zen.
From every whisper to every commotion.
That's rubbish. The KSAMC cannot investigate itself.
Every news story unfolds here first at Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Every sound is a story, and every story we share is news.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
News at 5 teasers are brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the PNP's Paul Buchanan has lost his bid to overturn Dr. Andrew Holness's victory in West Central St. Andrew.
The country's fiscal commission is warning of revenue shortfalls and underspending of the capital budget.
Jamaicans expressing mixed reactions to the new $70,000 U.S. visa fee.
Unwa stress me out.
The words of a frustrated witness in the Noel Maitland murder trial.
In news from the rest of the world, 11 police officers arrested in the Dominican Republic following killing of 5 suspects.
Donald Trump signs executive order vowing to defend Qatar in the wake of Israel's strike.
In headline sports, the treasurer of a top local sports association resigns, citing pressure from his president to approve payments.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, a $250 US visa surcharge is now in effect for persons applying for visitor, student, or work visas to the United States. This brings the total to $435 US, or just over $70,000. What are the implications? We'll hear from attorney Wayne Golding and social and political commentator Dr. Karen Dunkley.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, what's your reaction to U.S. visas now costing $70,000 Jamaican dollars? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the JCF has released data showing what can be described as a troubling trend of suicide so far in the second half of the year. We'll hear from associate counseling psychologist specializing in play therapy, Pauline Bain, president of the Jamaica Psychiatric Association, Dr. Brian Kazara, and consulting psychologist, Dr. Liakim Samaj.
At 7, the U.S. government has shut down much of its operations as deep partisan divisions prevented Congress and the White House from reaching a funding deal. You'll hear more.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, RevaNews.ai, and on the Reva News app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Wednesday afternoon, it's Wednesday, October 1, 2025.
News at 5 teasers were brought to you by Advanced Scales and Equipment. Service is our total commitment.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The PNP's Paul Buchanan has lost his bid to overturn the result of the September 3 general election in West Central St. Andrew. This after the constituted authority refused a request he submitted earlier this month. Buchanan lost the seat to Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Since then, he has falsely insisted he was the true winner of the West Central St. Andrew seat. Tonna Thomas has the details.
On September 16, Buchanan filed an application with the constituted authority seeking to void the election result in the seat that's been represented by the Prime Minister since 1997. The application cites a number of alleged irregularities and breaches in the conduct of the election. In the final count, Dr. Holness tallied 7,090 votes to Buchanan's 4,980. But during a podcast interview, Buchanan falsely insisted that he was the clear winner in West Central St. Andrew.
I believe in my heart I won the election, and I won it very big. There are 33,000 voters in that constituency. We have 3 divisions, 8,000 in the civil rights division, smallest. We have 11,000 in Olympic, which is Mr. Holness's strong area. And there is Mullines, which has 13,400, by far the largest. We have never lost it, not since adult suffrage. Andrew knew that if Mullines came out, the election was lost, no matter what he did down at Olympic.
On Wednesday, the constituted authority set the record straight. The election result will stand. In a statement on Wednesday, the Electoral Commission of Jamaica ECJ says Buchanan's request to overturn the result was denied. According to the Commission, Buchanan relied on Section 37 of the Election Petition Act to support his request. In that section, it's noted that a request can be considered in the event of an upsurge in violence or any irregularity during election day in one or more polling stations or polling divisions or in any electoral division or constituency. The ECJ says Buchanan submitted several affidavits from himself and others in support of his request. But the Electoral Authority says after careful consideration of the affidavits and the relevant case law, the constituted authority found that the evidence presented did not satisfy the standard contemplated by the wording of the law. As such, the constituted authority refused Buchanan's request. The ECJ says it informed the PNP caretaker of the authority's decision in writing on Tuesday. It also provided him with a copy of the written reasons for its decision. Tonna Thomas for Nationwide News.
And that request from Paul Buchanan was submitted earlier last month. Of course, this is a new month.
The country's Independent Fiscal Commission, IFC, is warning of potential shortfalls in government revenues and capital spending. That's according to its 2025 statement on fiscal performance released on Wednesday. The IFC warns this could have a material impact on meeting budgeted targets. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
The Independent Fiscal Commission, IFC, is the body now tasked with ensuring that the government remains in line with the country's fiscal rules. It replaced the Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC. In its latest statement on fiscal performance, the IFC flagged a $14 billion tax shortfall at the end of the last fiscal year, which has overstated the revenue base for 2025-2026. The Commission cautioned that the government may need additional revenues to meet the budgeted targets. At the same time, capital spending across the specified public sector was only $20 billion in the April to June quarter, compared to a budgeted target of $40 billion. The IFC said the under-execution of infrastructure projects could dampen Jamaica's economic growth prospects. Still, the report highlighted several positive developments. Inflation fell to 3.8% in June 2025, which was below the Bank of Jamaica's target range, while unemployment dropped to a record low of 3.3% in April. The country also benefited from an 8% boost to its nominal GDP after the Statistical Institute of Jamaica adopted a new system of national accounts. That revision pushed Jamaica's debt to GDP ratio down to 62.4%, placing the country on track to achieve its legislated 60% debt target 2 years ahead of schedule. The IFC praised progress on reducing informality through digitization and strengthening the public investment management system, but it noted gaps in public sector wage negotiations and compliance with reporting obligations. The Commission also noted that since the report's preparation, macroeconomic conditions have continued to improve, with GDP expanding by 1.6% in the June quarter and inflation falling to 1.2% in August. It's the lowest in nearly 6 decades. It's also noted unemployment held steady at 3.3% in July. The IFC said it will present a deeper assessment of fiscal performance when the government tables its interim fiscal policy paper late in October. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
There are mixed reactions from Jamaicans across the corporate area regarding the new cost of applying for a U.S. visa. The new fee of just over 70,000 Jamaican dollars took effect today. Some Jamaicans say they'll still try their luck at the U.S. Embassy in St. Andrew, while others say the price is simply too steep. Nationwide's Shalois Michael took to the streets of Halfway Tree today to canvass the views.
The new $250 visa integrity fee adds to the standard visa application cost of $185. This means applicants will have to pay a total of $435 for a tourist visa. That's 70,035 Jamaican dollars. The U.S. visa is one of the most sought-after travel permits in Jamaica. Hundreds of citizens join long lines at the embassy on a daily basis in hopes of getting the white paper of approval to feel the foreign breeze. When asked if the price hike will deter them from applying, some say the determination to travel abroad trumps all else.
No, because I want to travel and I want to have the experience to travel for a vacation and also to shopping. So anywhere I should get money from, loan or partner job, I will get.
Yeah, Mama, that's not plans. I don't think that is not in form of a deterrence.
It's a lot of money. But I mean, if you go and you get it, the 70,000 not even going to really matter no more. Can you go get it?
No, $70,000 will not deter me. I like to travel. I've been there before and I like it. So I'll travel again.
But some say the increase is simply too much.
$70,000 for a visa is most definitely outrageous. It will definitely be a deterrent for me.
Yes, definitely, because there's no guarantee after you paying this $70,000 that you'll be granted a visa. So it is already tough times, and to take up $70,000 to apply and then you're not guaranteed, you're not sure what the outcome is. Of course, I'm discouraged.
It is very discouraging. As a matter of fact, if you were sure that you were going to get it, it wouldn't even be that bad. But to spend $70,000 and only to hear that you are denied, no, it is discouraging for me.
I feel like they're taking advantage of it just because we all want to go there to work, to travel, to study, or even to see family.
If it did cost too much already, it costs too much now.
A key aspect of the new fee is the potential for a refund. Visa holders can apply for a refund of the $250 fee if they fully comply with their visa terms. If a visa holder leaves the U.S. within 5 days of their visa expiring or changes to a green card legally, they can also apply to get the $250 fee. But it remains unclear what's the process to access the refund. Shalois Michael for Nationwide News.
To the courts now. Me tired of no, when I stress me out. Those were the frustrated words of a witness in the Noel Maitland murder trial on Wednesday as he was recalled to the stand to give evidence. The witness, a delivery truck driver, had previously testified that he transported a settee from Maitland's apartment to a car wash. Maitland is on trial for the 2022 murder of his girlfriend, Donnelly Donaldson. He's also charged with the unlawful disposal of her body, which has never been found. Robin Williams was in court.
After being questioned by the prosecutor and briefly cross-examined by the defense, the witness suddenly lashed out before leaving the stand. He said, Me don't have to come back here, you know. Me tired of now. Una stress me out. Una stress out me and me picnic them. Me tired. Presiding Judge Justice Leighton Pusey quickly intervened, halting the witness's outburst. He reminded him that such behavior would not be tolerated in court. The visibly agitated man was then dismissed and left the courtroom. Earlier, the witness was recalled to identify voices in recorded phone conversations between himself and Maitland. He told the court he had secretly recorded the calls after Maitland contacted him about his truck, which had been seized by the police in 2022. In one of the recordings, Maitland was heard asking, Them tell you which station them take it? The witness responded, But no say nothing to me. Them just take the key and take it so. My papers them a work pan so them never get to take them. Maitland replied, Me supposed to see the DSP in a few, so me ga ask him about that. I just hear me ear say them take your vehicle and give you a call. The truck driver said, John Star, my vehicle broke down and they are me yard, and they find me yard, they find me address. To which Maitland responded, Yeah, because you forward on my house and them investigate everything, and that's why. You know have to go in no detail as to what the investigator ask you, that for them thing. But me just apologize for the whole thing, yeah? The witness was also heard explaining the hardship caused by the loss of his truck, saying, Me need for no wagwan, you give me a work, I'm done with it, and then I bear other things. Me need for no wagwan, cause I like say, me know you are so, and me no involved. Maitland assured him, When them finish do them thing, them a go give you back your vehicle. Sorry, me just a call for tell you sorry about that, me G. As soon as them finish, them a go give you back your vehicle. Both the recordings and transcripts were admitted into evidence. The trial resumes next Tuesday. Robeanne Williams for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision, but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today.
The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
31 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 out west in Montego Bay. Continuing the news, Education and Youth Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon is urging Jamaicans to take greater responsibility for the care and protection of the nation's children. She made the remarks as the search for 12-year-old Jaden Smith stretches into its 5th day. The first-form Manchester High student has not been seen since last Friday. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
Young Jaden was seen leaving school on Friday wearing his khaki uniform and brown shoes. He's of dark complexion, slim build, about 5 feet tall. He hails from Wales in Newport, Manchester. Minister Morris-Dixon says she has been keeping updated on the search to locate the missing boy.
We're all very concerned. This morning I did speak to the Commissioner of Police on this particular matter to get an update on the search. They're working really hard. The military has been involved. Even the fire brigade is involved. They've been scouring CCTV cameras around the area trying to locate him. They've not been successful, but they're not stopping. But it's important. He was seen at particular areas.
Dr. Morris-Dixon says the incident highlights the need for citizens to show greater care and protection for children. The minister is suggesting too many Jamaicans are turning a blind eye to children who would benefit from adult guidance.
It's important that all of us see children as our children. Every child is ours. And this notion that we had in the past, that every child was ours and that raising children was a community affair, we have to get back to that. I have reports of students missing schools because in particular areas they're out at commercial spaces, hanging out at the time of school. But those establishments allow them to come in when they should be at school.
Minister Morris-Dixon is urging every Jamaican to take responsibility for the care and protection of the nation's children.
As we do the search, as we continue this search, let it remind us that every child is our child. We can't see it like somebody else's problem. And so if we see a child that needs support, needs help, we need to provide that support and help to channel them in the right direction. We can't see them on the road in the middle of the day and not say, Why are you here? What's going on? Why aren't you at school? Do I need to call CPFSA? If I know that I hear something next door, quietly call.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Chief Justice Brian Sykes has expressed deep sorrow at the passing of Trelawney Parish Court Judge Ruth Lawrence. Judge Lawrence was pronounced dead at the Falmouth Hospital on Tuesday. She was 59 years old. Her death is being treated as a case of suspected suicide. In paying tribute, the country's most senior jurist says Judge Lawrence dedicated her life to the service of justice. He noted she exemplified unwavering commitment, compassion, and professionalism throughout her career. Sykes says Judge Lawrence began her journey with the courts in Westmoreland in September 1997.
She began her career in the courts in September of 1997. Her judicial career commenced as a resident magistrate in 2009, and she served in various parishes in Western Jamaica, Westmoreland, Trelawney, St. James, St. Anne. She played a vital role as the chairperson of the Children's Circuit in the then Northern Circuit and was a key member of the Western Regional Family Court. Her service extended beyond the courtroom to enriching the lives of countless persons, children, families, and communities through her leadership and compassion.
Chief Justice Brian Sykes, he says Lawrence's death is a profound loss to the legal system and all who knew her. The Chief Justice says her legacy of dedication and service will continue to inspire all.
And the Jamaican Bar Association, JAMBAR, has condemned the public circulation of sensitive details surrounding the death of Judge Lawrence. The Bar Association says it's deeply troubled by the apparent non-observance of the Data Protection Act. It says the piece of legislation enshrines the right to privacy and the dignity of the individual, even in death. The Act affirms that personal data must be handled with care, respect, and lawful purpose. The association says the circulation of distressing information without appropriate safeguards undermines the solemnity of the death, the humanity of the deceased, and those left to mourn her passing. It's urging all relevant authorities to thoroughly review the circumstances surrounding the release of the information. The Bar Association is also urging media entities, public officials, and private citizens to exercise restraint and compassion when handling matters of profound sensitivity.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Authorities in the Dominican Republic have detained 11 policemen following the killing of 5 suspected criminals during a police operation last month. The arrests are unusual in a country where police and military largely operate with impunity. Among those detained are a police captain and 2 sergeants. They are expected to appear in court later this week. The killings, which occurred on September 10, sparked several protests. Police have accused the suspects of opening fire on the policemen first, adding that the victims were members of a gang. But friends and family have disputed police accounts, noting that one of the suspects killed was a well-known barber.
U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order vowing to use all measures, including U.S. military action, to defend the energy-rich nation of Qatar. But it remains unclear just how much weight the pledge will carry. The text of the order was made available on Wednesday on the White House's website. It appears to be another measure by Trump to assure Qataris following Israel's surprise attack on the country. The September 7 attack targeted Hamas leaders as they weighed accepting a ceasefire with Israel over the war in Gaza. Trump's order apparently came during a visit to Washington on Monday by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the PNP's Paul Buchanan has lost his bid to overturn Dr. Andrew Holness's victory in West Central St. Andrew.
The country's fiscal commission is warning of revenue shortfalls and underspending of the capital budget.
Jamaicans expressing mixed reactions to the new $70,000 U.S. visa fee.
Unwa stressed me out, the words of a frustrated witness in the Noel Maitland murder trial.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Roby Ann Williams.
Listeners, you can find the news on our website at rivernews.ai and on the River News app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
Years strong and just getting started. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica proudly presents its annual business conference, the highlight of its 60th anniversary year. Join them Thursday, October 9 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Hear from keynote speaker, CEO of the Jamaica Stock Exchange, Mr. Livingston Morrison, plus top industry leaders on global trade, the evolving CFO role, and AI in accounting. Don't miss it. Register by October 4 at icaj.org.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Richard Hopkins has tendered his resignation as treasurer of the Aquatic Swimming Association of Jamaica with immediate effect. In his resignation letter sent to the ASAJ Council, Hopkins says the current leadership situation has reached a point where it has become uncomfortable for him to continue in his role. Hopkins highlighted 4 main reasons behind his decision to step away, some having to do with what he says was his refusal to approve claims for payment made by the association president, Lance Rochester, which were not approved by council. In his letter, Hopkins points to a $660,000 claim for payment by the president to water polo coach Adrian Sanchez Luzardo in 2023. The invoice was sent on November 12, 2023 for payment to Luzardo for organizing several water polo events between January and November of the same year. Hopkins says he couldn't in good conscience approve the payment since it was not approved by council, and that he couldn't obtain confirmation of any water polo activities taking place in 2023. There's another claim for refund by the president of $780,000 in 2024 to Luzardo to be paid by a special annual funding program from the world body. Hopkins says water polo does not have a national team or program, and the funds are for national teams. Hopkins says he was then instructed to make direct monthly payment to Luzardo from the ASAJ account. Hopkins says there had been no water polo reports to council for 2024-2025. Hopkins says because he refused to approve the payments, he has received a barrage of accusatory and defamatory correspondence from the president. He says in his time serving the ASAJ, no president has ever disrespected him in this way or attempted to tarnish his reputation. President Rochester responded to the claims with Nationwide Sports late this afternoon.
I acknowledge the treasurer's letter. All the reimbursement claims which apply to donate funds are already extended and properly extended to support the ASAG's activities, and they were all properly submitted. There's no cause for concern. The matter will be reviewed at the board level in due course.
That's Lance Rochester, president of the ASAJ. Defending champions Kingston College were leading Tivoli Gardens at 3-0 at sports time in their Issa Digital Manning Cup encounter. In all the latest games, Pepin, they lead Penwood by 2-0. Kingston Tech and Denham Town were goalless. Charlie Smith Tarrant also goalless. So too Jose Marti and Haile Selassie. Defending champions Cavalier will face a date with Destiny in Bridgetown tonight in their CONCACAF Caribbean Club Championship. The title is now firmly on the line. The Jamaican champions will battle Weymouth Wales of Barbados at the Whitley Field starting at 8 p.m. in a Group B game. They must win if they are to advance to the semi-finals. Cibao of the Dominican Republic lead the group with a maximum 9 points from 3 games, while Weymouth, Defence Force and Cavalier all have 4 points. The other Jamaican club in the competition, Mount Pleasant Academy, ended group play with a perfect record. They easily defeated Universidad of the Dominican Republic 2-0 at the National Stadium last evening, courtesy of strikes from Gadale Irvin, a wonderfully taken free kick, and Ronaldo Biggs late in the game. Defending champions Paris Saint-Germain came from behind to beat FC Barcelona 2-1 in Catalonia in their big European Champions League showdown on Wednesday. Ferran Torres shot Barcelona in front after 19 minutes, but the French champions responded with goals from Seni Mayolo in the 36th and a Gonzalo Ramos winner on the stroke of full time.
Given away by Vitinha to Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Rashford, it's Ferran Torres! It's a beautifully worked goal for Barcelona! Chance to level the game here, and the chance taken. PSG level through Seni Mayolu. Well, he's just 19 years of age, and he's leveled this game tonight. It's one apiece. It's Hakimi. Ramos is square. Could this be the winner? Gonzalo Ramos for Paris Saint-Germain as the clock hits 90. PSG has surely won it.
In other games on Wednesday, Arsenal made it 2 from 2 as well after beating Olympiacos by 2-0 at the Emirates, thanks to goals from Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. Borussia Dortmund, they club at Athletic Club 4-1. Napoli turned back Sporting CP 2-1. Manchester City and Monaco ended 2-2. So did Juventus and Villarreal, while Newcastle, they tagged Union Saint-Gilloise by 4-1 over in Belgium. And finally, in sports at this time, the West Indies and India will square off in the first cricket test in Ahmedabad at 11:30 p.m. Jamaica time tonight. The West Indies are still smarting from that 3-0 home defeat against Australia 2 months ago and will go into the contest without two of the main weapons in pacers, Alzarri Joseph and Shamar Joseph, both out to injuries. There's grass on the Ahmedabad pitch, which means the Caribbean team will bank heavily on one of the world's best young fast bowling talents in Jaden Seals to exploit the conditions. Vice Captain Jomel Warkan is aware of the void left by the two quicks, but welcomes the challenge nonetheless.
Yes, it gives us a lot of confidence, me as a left-hand spinner, but I think they got to play on the day. You got to adapt to the condition and assess the situation ahead of you. So, yes, it's impressive that left-hand spinners have done well against India, but at the same time, you can't too much live in the past. You have to also be in the present and just focus on your job at hand.
And the 32-year-old is one of a few members on the current team to have played in India before and is expected to play a central role.
One thing I can remember is the heat, and coming back here is still very hot, so that's something we got to be mindful of. Also the pitches, probably from day 3 into day 4, start to turn a lot, so we got to be very mindful that the first inning is very, very important and get a good first inning score.
West Indies Test Vice Captain Jomel Warkan. That sports are going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Cubby's Baby Wipes is ideal for your baby's delicate skin, infused with vitamin E and aloe vera, and available for home or on the go. The time by Cubby's Baby Wipes is
5:31.
From Kingston to the world, from Montego Bay to new adventures, and from Ocherias to endless possibilities. Wherever you're headed, we will proudly take you there. Jamaica's Airport, your global gateway. The temperature brought to you by the Airports Authority of Jamaica is
30 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 29 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Hey, did you hear? JUTC just launched Rural Express routes.
Really? Where to?
Travel to and from Kingston with direct routes to Ocherias, Montego Bay, Negril, Mandeville, Maypen, and coming soon, Port Antonio.
Wow, that sounds convenient, but must be pricey.
Not at all. Special introductory fare just $2,000. Except for Maypen, that's just $1,500. The JUTC Rural Express is here. Your ticket to comfort, connection, and convenience at a price that fits your budget. Whether it's family, school, or a weekend getaway, travel to Jamaica's top destinations with ease and enjoy a smooth, stress-free ride. Visit our social media at JUTC Ltd or log on to www.jutc.gov.jm for schedules.
Tune in to Outside with Pepita on Saturday, October 4 from 3 to 6 p.m. as we broadcast live from the Aviation Expo 2025 at the School of Aviation. Get ready for the ultimate aviation experience. Come see thrilling aircraft displays, cutting-edge technology, and meet industry experts shaping the future of flight. From aviation professionals to curious explorers, there's something for everyone. Don't miss this high-flying event. Mark your calendars for October 4 at Tinson Pen Aerodrome, where Jamaica's skies come alive. Tune in to Outside with Pepita, Saturday, October 4 from 3 to 6 p.m. It's the Aviation Expo 2025 at the School of Aviation. Catch us live on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2, or stay tuned to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the School of Aviation.
Taboo topics.
Bulletins after dark.
Riveting discussion.
Celebrity news and interviews.
Topics that are shunned by society.
And everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss. Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored.
Boyatings After Dark.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
News on the go. The latest stories from Jamaica and around the world are literally a finger tap away. Keep up to date with Teen Revolution 24 hours a day online via nationwideradiojm.com. Listen live, read the latest stories, hear every soundbite. Be a part of the vibrant online debate via Facebook and Twitter. Now you can get all your favorite premium nationwide content at your convenience. Visit the Android Play Store and download it for free today. NationwideRadioJM.com. All day, every day. Team Revolution.
Good afternoon, listeners and viewers. It's 5:36. It is a Wednesday. Welcome to the cover story. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Good afternoon to you, Siobhan, and good afternoon to our listeners. Well, listeners, a $250 visa surcharge is now in effect for persons, including Jamaicans, applying for visitors, student, or work visas to the United States. The additional charge is dubbed the $250 Visa Integrity Fee. For a Jamaican, that markup now increases the visa application fee to $435 or just over 70,000 Jamaican dollars. Dana Davey reports.
The visa surcharge is one of several new fees being implemented by the Trump administration. Another is the $100,000 fee slapped on potential employers looking to bring professionals such as teachers from places like Jamaica to work in the United States. The new $250 visa integrity fee adds to the standard visa application cost of $185. This means applicants will have to pay a total of $435 for a tourist visa. The Jamaican equivalent, $70,035. The fee is a provision of Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill. It will reportedly be collected by the Department of Homeland Security at visa issuance. It will also be adjusted annually and generally will not be waived. Immigration analysts are concerned the measure could discourage travel to the U.S. and impact tourism and other industries. There's also the concern that the higher visa fees could put a strain on the budgets of travelers from affected countries like Jamaica. Visitors from countries participating in the visa waiver program and most Canadian visitors are not subject to this new fee. Countries participating in the visa waiver program include Australia, Denmark, France, and Japan, among others. The visa waiver program enables most citizens or nationals of participating countries to travel to the United States for tourism or business for stays of 90 days or less without obtaining a visa. Meanwhile, a key aspect of the fee is the potential for a refund. Visa holders can apply for a refund of the $250 fee if they fully comply with their visa terms. Compliance means that they do not overstay or violate their visa status and depart to the United States on time. If a visa holder leaves the U.S. within 5 days of their visa expiring or changes to a green card legally, they can also apply to get the $250 fee. However, it is not yet clear what the process will be to access the reimbursement. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Dana. Well, to discuss further, we're being joined by attorney at law for the Golding Law Group, that's Wayne Golding, and social and political commentator Dr. Karen Dunkley. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to my good friend, Attorney Wayne Golding.
Good afternoon to you both. Starting with you, Dr. Dunkley, what is the message that you believe the Trump administration is trying to send here with the visa integrity fee alongside the other charges they are seemingly adding to the potential cost to travel to the United States for an extended stay?
I think the message is clear. I think the Trump administration is sending the message that the United States wants to ensure that individuals entering its country, especially pertaining to visiting the United States, will not and should not be allowed to be out of compliance. So for them, they want to enforce accountability. They see it as deterrent abuse. Note that they're saying that the fee is non-waivable. So it's a mechanism simply to state that foreign nationals, when you're coming to the United States, we're going to ensure that you adhere to the expectations around the visa you have and the time that you have to visit us. And foreign nationals really have to carefully weigh if the cost of the visa, this visa integrity fee, if it outweighs any risk that they would intend to engage in regarding overstay or violating their visa terms.
When Golding, the policy indicates that it is promoting visa integrity. In your view, is there any evidence that this fee will achieve this idea of having visa integrity?
Well, from my point of view, it's an economic situation. Immigrants have always paid their ways in America. A lot of people don't realize any benefit that an immigrant applies for, they have to pay for it. The USCIS, the Immigration Authority branch of the government, is the only money-making branch of the government. They actually make enough money to support their activities and what they do. $250 is not going to deter someone who wants to come to the United States for the purpose of remaining beyond their visa stay or to do bad acts. You know, it's a reality check. Yes, the motivation is stated by the policy, but the bottom line is for every one you dissuade for $250, there's probably 1,000 to replace them. So if it is that somebody has bad intentions, meaning they want to come here just to stay beyond their time, they're going to do it. $250 is not going to dissuade the average person who can afford to travel, who can afford. It's a cost-benefit analysis that they'll be looking at. What does it mean for them to come into the country and to stay beyond their time? And it costs them $250, and if they get caught, they get deported. But I don't see where the sense is that $250 is going to be a deterrent, because the average airline ticket can go up by $250 in 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
And what say you, Dr. Dunkel? Do you believe that this will barely function as a deterrent to those who will willfully overstay their visa?
I agree with Attorney Golden that it will not function as a deterrent, not certainly in the way that perhaps the United States government intends it. The cost is the threat of losing a $250 refund. In our instance, you have averaged what that means for Jamaican really is really nominal. As attorney pointed out, Wayne, you have the cost of a ticket, depending on the time, could be $250. But also note something, right? The impact of this visa integrity fee will only be on what we're going to call the very poor. It's disproportionate on those who really are very poor and would not even would have difficulty finding the initial application fee in the first place. So I don't think that it will dissuade individuals wanting to come, wanting to visit, to do so. I think that they will still continue to find the funds to absolutely pay this additional fee, especially even though they have not decided the how, they said the what, that it is refundable based contingent on good behavior and not violating the visa.
But isn't that the intention of the fee, Dr. Dunkley, essentially to keep out a certain demographic from the United States?
Well, we know that the likely effects is that it certainly wants to discourage. Let's just look at the countries who do not participate in the non-visa waiver, right? So it certainly wants to discourage low-income applicants from the Caribbean, Latin America, and Africa. If we look at the recent numbers, I think they said the percent visitors is down something like 3.2% from the Caribbean. It also wants to target what they call the visa overstayer. People who overstay because quite frankly, it might be family ties. It may be that they're searching for a legal pathway. It may be out of economic desperation where they're doing a thing on the side. So we understand that the intended target, of course, is to deter this kind of profile. It also, quite frankly, sends a political message that visa misuse is going to be taken seriously by this administration. And so it's likely to act as a filter on what applies and to the profiles of these individuals. But I still think in this instance, it's nominal, it's manageable. Let me share this. Think about if someone having family in the diaspora were to say to their family, just send me an extra $250, that family member in the diaspora, despite going through very difficult financial times, they're going to find it to send.
Hold it first. We're up on the break. Let's take this break and come back to continue the conversation.
Protecting your personal data is a priority for the Jamaica Customs Agency. We urge you to use the agency's official platforms to conduct your business. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is...
It's 5:46.
Birdshot fried chicken always ready. Birdshot, original crispy. Birdshot, Cajun spicy. Birdshot, a barbecue. Birdshot, we are going Birdshot.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Montego Bay and Ocho Rios is...
It's 30 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and 29 in Ocho Rios.
Looking for superior quality transportation from an international award-winning provider? Well, look no further. Choose Island Car Rentals, Jamaica's leading car rental company, setting the standard for road transportation in Jamaica. For over 50 years, Island Car Rentals has been your trusted partner for reliable, top-quality vehicles. But we're more than just a car rental company. Need an airport transfer at any hour? Heading out of town and want to travel in style with a private chauffeur? Need a truck to rent for business or personal use? Or maybe you need a customized shuttle or tour for a large or a small group? Whatever your transportation need, Island Car Rentals has you covered. Call us today at 876-926-8012 or 876-929-5875 or visit www.islandcarrentals.com to book your next trip. Because Island people take better care of you.
anywhere I should get the money from, either loan or partner job, I will get it because I'm a Jamaican, a pro-Jamaican, and anything I want, I have to get it. Thank you very much.
That look very steepest, but I don't think that is in the form of a deterrence. People want to apply for visa. I think you will still find people applying the same way.
So you would apply? You would still?
Yeah, ma'am, that's still applies. Sometimes they cost benefit to work with.
Well, I want to tell you that this $70,000 will not deter anybody because it's a lot of money. But I mean, persons are trying to get visa, yes, so the chances are like more likely. So I mean, if you go and you get it, the $70,000 not even gonna really matter no more. How you gonna get it?
So there you have it, a few people reacting to that new visa integrity fee, saying even with the additional cost, that's not going to stop them. If they want to get to the United States, they will pay what they have to pay. Dr. Dunkley, you heard it there from Jamaicans. What do you make of that? That the Jamaicans simply said they're not deterred. I mean, it's steep, yes, but I mean, we want to get to the United States at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and I quite enjoyed listening to my Jamaican family express whether or not they would be deterred, because quite frankly, let's face it, we know that we are a unique people, our spirit is indomitable, and whatever it is, like they said, whether it's them partner draw, them to them won't get there. If them want to catch up foreign, they will get there. And so for me, analyzing this, I think the visa integrity fee is more symbolic and fiscal than practical. I think certainly it's going to increase revenue, but it really primarily is a political statement about enforcement and not necessarily translating into dramatic demands in terms of visa application. So it definitely is unlikely to meaningfully deter the kind of people who overstay. Mentioned them before, because their motivations usually outweigh the financial risk. So economic desperation, family ties, or just people who lack the legal pathway to get on status in America. So however the lady says she's going to get there, we will get there as Jamaicans and quite frankly Caribbean people.
Well, Wayne Golding, I want to go back to the matter of the fee being refundable, because they made mention that it is refundable under some strict compliance. From a legal perspective, what challenges might applicants face in proving the compliance and getting back that refund?
Well, you have to look at it that it's going to be a subjective judgment, not on the applicant's part, but on the person who's collecting the fee. They can pretty much use any reason to say where you have violated the terms of your immigration visa. For example, immigration law, I call it a long game. For example, people would, in years gone by, go to the embassy, apply for a visa, and either omit or put false information on their documents. And in doing that, they might come to the United States and find a way to legally get themselves good status, permanent residence. But in that application process, they go back and they look at your file from your very first interaction with the U.S. immigration system, which may have been that first visa application. And if they find that you had omitted something or you had made a false statement, then that gives them grounds to deny your application to adjust your status to become a permanent resident. So it's much like collecting this visa fee. It's totally discretionary on the part of the U.S. government to give you that fee back or to refund you if they, in their determination, determine that you have violated the terms. Now, what we don't know yet, because it's not rolled out, is if there's an appeals process for that $250, what it would cost you to do that appeal, and what it really means in terms of people depending on that money's to be returned to them. Or does it mean that every time you're coming into the United States, you have to pay that fee? Or is it something that after a number of years, if you are compliant, that they don't charge you. But the bottom line is immigration policy in the United States has shifted from so many things, from the times when they wanted family reunification, they wanted people to build a country, they wanted the brightest and the best to come to this country. Now it's more about the optics, because if you look at who these kind of things would impact the most, if it's going to deter people from getting visas, is those who are of a lower economic background. And in one word, they're saying to you, well, if you can't afford the $250, you shouldn't be traveling anyway.
Mm-hmm. But Wayne Golding, I mean, maybe I'm misinterpreting. I thought the visa integrity fee was simply an overstay matter, meaning if you have a visa for 90 days and you leave on day 80, you should get that refund full stop.
No, there are several things that could disqualify you from getting that fee. For example, you come into the country and you violate some law. You get arrested, stuff like that. There are several things that can violate the terms of your visitor's visa. It's not just overstay. It's not just staying beyond the time that they give you when you come to the border. Then you meet that immigration officer and he says, how long do you plan to stay in the country? And you say 3 weeks. And he says, okay, I'm going to give you 4, or I'm going to give you 2, and you overstay that time. There's several other things that you can do during your stay in the United States that can violate that visa.
And Dr. Dunkley, do you foresee any legal challenge or challenges to this new policy?
I don't foresee any legal challenges. I think that Attorney Golden has enumerated what the concerns would be. Certainly, it's going to be against the equity concerns. So lower-income Caribbean nationals, those who are wealthy will treat it as a sunk cost. They don't really care if they get it back or not. But I think ordinary travelers, working class, losing the refund is going to be devastating. And then, quite frankly, the technicalities. What happens, for example, it's not just a one thing in terms of overstaying. Proof of compliance, what does that look like? Bureaucratic delays, because we don't know who's going to hold the money. How long? How will the applicants be notified that their refund is ready, that they're eligible? Is there any appeals process if the refund is denied? Just complete lack of clarity in terms of the refund procedures, and certainly technical issues that would give me cause for concern, again, for the ordinary traveler who will depend on a refund. That $250 US would be a lot of money. So I think that is the area for us that we really should pay attention to.
And let me ask you, Dr. Dunkley, I mean, this is certainly the brainchild of the current administration and the current political climate. Do you see this surviving the end of this administration?
So here's what I do know, and Wayne, you could correct me on this. I noticed that in administration year 1, that many of the changes that were made were not undone. And I think that there are many who are hopeful, like, okay, we have a new administration, so we're going to have some restoration then. But things remain the same. And so for me, I think that these wings of accountability and cost recovery, I quite frankly think that it will continue beyond this administration. I just don't think after 3-4 years that someone coming in is going to turn the clock back, especially, and is quite frankly going to become a revenue generator. It may happen, but I'm not sure. And only if, again, remember, political parties matter. So if this party, again, is successful to maintain another term, I do not see the fees going away. I don't think that CARICOM, in terms of diplomatic pressure, will lend its voice on this issue much more beyond than expressing concern, again, about it penalizing low and middle income travelers disproportionately. So the short answer is no, I do not see the fee going away for the reasons expressed.
And one more from you, Wayne Golding. There is the matter of I think some confusion. Is the fee charged upon you applying for the visa, or is it something charged upon you taking up that visa and going to the United States?
Receiving the visa.
So it's upon application being approved?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And, you have to bear in mind, too, this is somewhat of a pilot program. And they're going to see how it works. down the pike and probably make some changes. Changes might be raising of the fees even more, So we don't know. They're looking at it. They're looking at deterrence. They're looking at it from all different angles. But one thing for certain, this administration is hell-bent on reducing even legal migration to the United States. So we're going to see more to come. Don't be surprised. There will be challenges in some areas, but the administration almost has carte blanche authority in the area of immigration policy, and immigration laws. So there's more to come. Stay tuned.
And just finally from me, I suppose to you, Dr. Dunkley, there are other countries now seeing what is going on in terms of the rising level of disinterest in foreign labor from the side of the United States, such as China, who's trying to now attract similar levels of skilled labor to their shores. Do you see that shift happening in terms of the United States losing its ground as a preferred destination for immigration?
I think no. I think that there's some people, and so let me temper that statement. I think that one of the unintended consequences is going to be a growing sense of disinterest just among some skilled workers. Not, again, because of the overall tone for immigrants, the overall tone that is happening in the country from immigrants from certain communities, the perceptions of hostility that, quite frankly, that skilled laborers are not welcome to the United States. So I think there's going to fuel some resentment, and the soft power appeal that the United States have will somehow be diminished. I think, yes, in that instance. However, I think that there is a cost versus opportunity balance. So there's some professions, for nurses, teachers, IT specialists, engineers, where the new fees, people are going to say it is going to worth being in the United States. So I think it's going to be 50-50. I think that America offers so many other pieces, the promise of quote-unquote democracy. And I think that people will weigh again the balance of paying the fee, of coming, versus the perception of hostility and the fact, quite frankly, that there is this suspicion toward immigrants coming in from certain places.
When Golden, just before we go, someone is asking if you think that the visa fee will be retroactively applied to some visa holders.
No, it won't be. And just to touch quickly before we go on the whole professional side of the visa situation where they're talking about $100,000. The $100,000 is paid by the employer, not by the person being employed. And it's the same amount of visas that are available every year. It's not an open amount. It's like 85,000 visas that are available in that category. They will still have 85,000 available. They'll still be oversubscribed, so people will still be coming. Employers will still be paying that $100,000 because they see the benefit to them of bringing this level of professional to the country. And so they will not, you will not see a reduction in the workforce in that area.
That is Wayne Golding. He's an attorney at law from the Golding Law Group, as well as social and political commentator Dr. Karen Dunkley. Thank you both for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having us.
The headlines are next, listeners.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
2 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. There are mixed reactions from Jamaicans across the corporate area regarding the new cost of applying for a U.S. visa. The fee of just over 70,000 Jamaican dollars took effect on Wednesday. It's payable by those who are successful in their visa application. When asked if the price hike will deter them from applying, some Jamaicans say the determination to travel abroad trumps all else.
No, because I want to travel and I want to have the experience to travel for a vacation and also to shopping. So anywhere I should get money from, either loan or partner job, I will get it.
Well, Mama, that's your plans. I don't think that is not in form of a deterrence.
It's a lot of money. But I mean, if you go and you get it, the 70,000 not even going to really matter no more. Can you go get it?
No, $70,000 will not deter me. I like to travel. I've been there before and I like it. So I'll travel there again.
But others say the increase is simply too much.
$70,000 for a visa is most definitely outrageous. It will definitely be a deterrent for me.
Yes, definitely, because there's no guarantee after you paying this $70,000 that you'll be granted a visa. So it is already tough times, and to take up $70,000 to apply and then you're not guaranteed, not sure what the outcome is. Of course, I'm discouraged.
It is very discouraging. As a matter of fact, if you were sure that you were going to get it, it wouldn't even be that bad. But to spend $70,000 and only to hear that you are denied, no, it is discouraging for me.
I feel like they're taking advantage of it just because we all want to go there to work, to travel, to study, or even to see family.
If it did cost too much already, it costs too much now.
Jamaicans reacting to the new visa fee. The PNP's Paul Buchanan has lost his bid to overturn the result of the September 3 general election in West Central St. Andrew. This after the constituted authority refused the request he submitted earlier this month. Buchanan lost the seat to Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. But during a podcast interview, Buchanan falsely insisted that he was the clear winner.
I believe in my heart I won the election and I won it very big. There are 33,000 voters in that constituency. We have 3 divisions, 8,000 in the civil rights division, smallest. We have 11,000 in Olympic, which is Mr. Holness's strong area. And there is Mullines, which has 13,400, by far the largest. We have never lost it, not since adult suffrage. Andrew knew that if Mullines came out, the election was lost, no matter what he did down at Olympic.
Paul Buchanan, caretaker for West Central St. Andrew. On Wednesday, the constituted authority set the record straight. The election result will stand. Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith is rejecting claims that Jamaica's refusal to walk out on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech at the UN General Assembly was embarrassing.
In fact, there was a learned individual who actually said that, and I don't know, maybe what I heard was edited text, but he said that it was embarrassing that developed countries like the UK were present recognizing Palestine while Jamaica was in hiding, when Jamaica recognized Palestine last year. So I really ask sometimes when people want to discuss matters that are of national, have importance for national reputation and global reputation, whether they are doing sufficient research and making sufficient inquiries about these matters.
Jamaica was one of several countries whose delegates remained seated, while scores of diplomats exited the assembly in protest. Speaking on Nationwide at 5 on Tuesday, attorneys Bert Samuels and Lalu Hanuman said it was embarrassing Jamaica did not show solidarity with their fellow diplomats. Minister Johnson-Smith insists Jamaica has been a consistent supporter of a ceasefire in Gaza.
I was going to let the release just go because, I know that it wasn't true. We recognized Palestine last year. We have always supported Resolution 242, which is the one that calls for a 2-state solution. We also indicated that this was, to us, still remain the safest path to having both states, both peoples living in security and peace. It won't be easy. It was never recognized or thought that it would be easy, and the road is clearly a difficult one. We have called for a ceasefire. We have condemned actions on both sides.
Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, Minister of Foreign Affairs. Education and Youth Minister Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon is urging Jamaicans to take greater responsibility for the care and protection of the nation's children. She made the remarks as the search for 12-year-old Jaden Smith stretches into its 5th day.
we're all very concerned. This morning I did speak to the Commissioner of Police on this particular matter to get an update on the search. They're working really hard. The military has been involved. Even the fire brigade is involved. They've been scoring CCTV cameras around the area trying to locate him. They've not been successful, but they're not stopping. But it's important. He was seen at particular areas.
Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, Minister of Education. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shaloy Smikle. Sports is next.
One location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy, all in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Is your money idling when it could be thriving? With CIBC Caribbean's fixed deposit offering, you can take charge of your cash. With 50,000 Jamaican to start, choose terms from 30 days to 2 years. Lock in your funds and enjoy premium rates guaranteed to grow your wealth. Whether you're eyeing short or long-term gains, our fixed deposit account puts you firmly in control of your money. Now is the time to open a CIBC fixed deposit account and start earning more today. CIBC, ambitions made real.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Richard Hopkins has tendered his resignation as treasurer of the Aquatic Swimming Association of Jamaica with immediate effect. In his resignation letter sent to the ASAJ Council, Hopkins says the current leadership situation has reached a point where it has become uncomfortable for him to continue in his role. Hopkins highlighted 4 main reasons behind his decision to step away, some having to do with what he says was his refusal to approve claims for payments made by the association president Lance Rochester, which were not approved by council. In his letter, Hopkins points to a $660,000 claim for payment by the president to water polo coach Adrian Sanchez Luzardo in 2023. The invoice was sent on November 12, 2023 for payment to Luzardo for organizing several water polo events between January and November of the same year. Hopkins says he couldn't in good conscience approve the payment since it was not approved by council, and that he couldn't obtain confirmation of any water polo activities taking place in 2023. There's another claim for refund by the president of $780,000 in 2024, also to Luzardo, to be paid by a special annual funding program from the world body. Hopkins says water polo does not have a national team or program, and the funds are for national teams. Hopkins says he was then instructed to make direct monthly payment to Luzardo from the ASAJ account. Hopkins says there's been no water polo reports to council for 2024-25. Hopkins says because he refused to approve the payments, he has received a barrage of accusatory and defamatory correspondence from the president. He says in his time serving the ASAJ, no president has ever disrespected him in this way or attempted to tarnish his reputation. President Rochester responded to the claims with Nationwide Sports late this afternoon.
I acknowledge the treasurer's letter. All the reimbursement claims which are likely to donate funds are already expended and properly expended to support the ASAG's activities, and they were all properly submitted. There's no cause for concern. The matter will be reviewed at the board level in due course.
That's Lance Rochester, who apologized for the poor quality of that insert. Now, Jamaica's national record holder in the 100 and 200 meters breaststroke long course, Colin McKenzie, kicked off his NCAA season in impressive fashion recently when the University of Florida Gators visited the Indiana Hoosiers in a dual meet showdown. McKenzie, representing Indiana University, clocked a lifetime best season opening swim of 55.31 seconds in the 100-yard breaststroke, a significant drop from his previous best opener of 56.5 4.24 set in 2022 while competing for North Carolina State against the University of Tennessee. The performance marks Mackenzie's fastest ever start to a collegiate season and underlines his growth and consistency as he continues to develop as one of the Caribbean's premier backstrokers. For the 2025 calendar year, Mackenzie currently ranks second fastest in the Caribbean in the 100 meters breaststroke and fourth fastest all-time in the regional competition. In the 200-yard breaststroke, Mackenzie placed fifth with a solid in-season swim of 2 minutes 02.42, showing the strength over the longer distance. Defending champions Kingston College, they beat Tivoli Gardens by 4-0 in the Issa Digicel Manning Cup today. In other games, Papine beat Penrith 2-0. Kingston Tech and Denham Town were goalless. Charlie Smith, they crushed Tarrant by 11-0. And Jose Marti and Haile Selassie were goalless the last time we heard. Defending champions Cavalier will face a date with Destiny in Bridgetown tonight as the CONCACAF Caribbean Club Championship title lay firmly on the line. The Jamaican champions will battle Weymouth Wales of Barbados at the Widley Field starting at 8 o'clock in a Group B game. They must win if they are to advance to the semi-finals. Cibao of the Dominican Republic lead the group with maximum 9 points from 3 games, while Weymouth, Defence Force and Cavalier all have 4 points. Defending champions Paris Saint-Germain came from behind to beat FC Barcelona 2-1 in Catalonia in their big European Champions League showdown on Wednesday. Ferran Torres shot Barcelona in front after 19 minutes, but the French champions responded with goals from Seni Mayula in the 36th and a Gonzalo Ramos winner on the stroke of full time.
Given away by Vitinha to Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Rashford, it's Ferran Torres! It's a beautifully worked goal for Barcelona. Chance to level the game here, and the chance taken. PSG level through Seni Mayulu. Well, he's just 19 years of age, and he's levelled this game tonight. It's one apiece. It's Hakimi. Ramos is square. Could this be the winner? Gonzalo Ramos for Paris Saint-Germain as the clock hits 90. PSG has surely won it.
In other games on Wednesday, Arsenal also made it 2 wins from 2 after beating Olympiacos 2-0 at the Emirates, thanks to goals from Gabriel Martinelli and substitute Bukayo Saka. Borussia Dortmund clobbered Athletic Club 4-1. Napoli turned back Sporting CP 2-1. Manchester City and Monaco ended 2-2. So did Juventus and Villarreal, while Newcastle, they tagged Union Saint-Gilloise by 4-1 in Belgium. The West Indies and India will square off in the first cricket test in Ahmedabad at 11:30 p.m. Jamaica time tonight. The West Indies are still smarting from a 3-0 home defeat against Australia 2 months ago and will go into the contest without 2 of their main weapons. Pacers Alzari Joseph and Shama Joseph are both out because of injuries. There is grass on the Ahmedabad pitch, which means the Caribbean team will bank heavily on one of the world's best young fast bowling talents in Jaden Seales to exploit the conditions. Seales' 88 test wickets so far have come at the hugely impressive average of 22.32. Vice Captain Jomil Warrican is aware of the void left by the 2 quicks, but he welcomes the challenge.
Yes, it gives us a lot of confidence, me as a left-hand spinner, but I think they got to play on the day. You got to adapt to the condition and assess the situation ahead of you. So, yes, it's impressive that our left-hand spinners have done well against India, but at the same time, you can't too much live in the past. You have also been in the present and just focus on your job at hand.
That's Jomil Warrican. Australia started the defence of their Women's One-Day International World Cup title in emphatic fashion. They easily dispatched New Zealand by 89 runs in the indoor on Wednesday. The Aussies first posted an impressive 326 all-out in 49 overs and 3 balls on the back of a superb century of 115 from Ashley Gardner. New Zealand were then dismissed for 237 in 43 overs and 2 balls. Their star player and captain Sophie Devine slammed a runner ball 111.
What the doctor ordered, Annabelle Sutherland, slower delivery against Australia. Yes. Picked up another one, Sutherland straight through. Oh, this has hit her in front as well, and that is out. Oh, the plane miss. That's a good ball on a hat trick as well. We're going up for that one. Lisa Healy, and has been given by Sue Redfern. Confirmation from Sue Redfern, little inside edge on that one. With Australia winning by 89 runs.
2-time Horse of the Year, Atomica, has been retired from local racing. Here's Brian Rickman with a call on one of the Chestnut Mare's brilliant performances.
Atomica now, the rider changing the stick to the right hand. She darts back down to the rail, but she has a commanding advantage. It is Atomica, the nuclear-powered filly, is inside the final 16. This is the new queen of local racing. Atomica wins the Jamaica Cup by a gap.
Atomica also claimed victories in the 1,000 Guineas and the Jamaica Derby during her career. The Gary Sabrati trained thoroughbred, who is one of Jamaica's most popular fillies, says goodbye to racing with a record of 17 wins from 32 starts. Atomica will now reside at the YS Stud Farm. Sticking with the theme of retirement, as French tennis player Gael Monfils has announced that he'll walk away from the sport in 2026. In a post on Instagram, Monfils wrote, "Life is too short, believe me when I say I have no regrets." The 39-year-old has won 13 titles during his career, but struggled with injuries in recent times. The athletic Frenchman reached a career best ranking of 6th back in 2016 after reaching the semi-finals of the US Open. Finally, in sports at this time, WNBA player Nafisa Collier has lashed out at the top brass of the league, accusing them of, quote, self-sabotage and failing to put the welfare of players first in a scathing post-match interview. Collier was speaking after her team, the Minnesota Lynx, were eliminated in the semifinals of the playoffs by the Phoenix Mercury, insists that the level of officiating was abysmal.
This conversation is not about winning or losing. It's about something much bigger. The real threat to our league isn't money, it isn't ratings, or even missed calls, or even physical play. It's the lack of accountability from the league office. Since I've been in the league, you've heard the constant concerns about officiating, and it has now reached levels of inconsistency that plague our sport and undermine the integrity in which it operates. Whether the league cares about the health of the players is one thing, but to also not care about the product we put on the floor is truly self-sabotage.
Collier said she tried in the past to have discussions with WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, who dismissed her suggestions on the possible changes that could be done to improve the league.
At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Kathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs. I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything. And in that same conversation, she told me players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that I got them.
That's Nafisa Collier, and that's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:21.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Home is closer than you think when you save towards your dream home with the Homeowners Savings Plan, or HOSP, from CIBC Caribbean. With HOSP, you unlock preferential interest rates to earn more interest on your savings and pay less with a discounted mortgage rate. You can even borrow up to an additional US $5,000 or its equivalent to help you with your closing costs. Get home faster when you save the HOSP way with CIBC.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A pleasant one extended to all of you, or valued listeners or viewers.
A special one going out to our YouTubers. Greetings to you, our friends. We invite you to weigh in live on this public opinion in the comment section today. Now, there are mixed reactions from Jamaicans across the corporate area regarding the new cost applying for U.S. visa. The fee of just over 70,000 Jamaican dollars to effect today. It's payable by those who are successful in their visa application. We should make note of that because some people hear otherwise and think say it just pay. But I mean, nobody goes to be unsuccessful, so there is that. The new $250 visa integrity fee adds to the standard visa application cost of $185 US. Now, what this means is that applicants will have to pay a total of $435 US for a tourist visa. So in public opinion this evening, we're asking, what's your reaction to U.S. visas now costing 70,000 Jamaican dollars? I mean, if successful. There is that aspect to it. But nobody not go a U.S. visa or U.S. embassy go stand up in a long line to be unsuccessful. All right, to the comments on our Instagram platform. Hotter Fire said, people best is to stay in Jamaica and build our nation. Tiger Style is saying, oh, don't forget it's non-refundable. I mean, only if you are successful. Yeah. Better only use the 70K if you go Panama trip or Dominican Republic, Mexico, or any other Caribbean island. A nice round trip to Panama, a 70K. One Empress is saying very pricey. Is it a lotto ticket? Legendary Jordan, clearly an effort to further exploit financial resources from deprived countries. Let them keep it. Yeah. According to DJ Hockey, he's saying it's just Trump's world. You either pay to live in it or stay out of it. Simple. Kimani is saying people still are going to apply. I could have $1 million. Them still are going to come out in the hot sun, in the line, and still apply. Okay. Anika says, sorry, me never try get mine when it did cheap. Would you look at that? Called Babyface is saying, would I is sure right? Yeah. I mean, many people go and get that little piece of green paper, the whole heap of time, a whole heap of tries, and I'll know people can get the white paper. Poison Ivy is saying, if Bridget's can raise the prices for them poorly made sandals, wow, Poison Ivy, okay. So Poison Ivy is saying, if Bridget's can raise, uno can find 250 US for a chance to go get little foreign breeze and come back. Okay. Waity is saying, imagine you apply and get denied. The United, Seafaron. I'll leave it right there. On Facebook, Kenrick Johnson is saying, Jamaicans must fix Jamaica and continue making it better. Audley Phillips saying he thinks that we will see a reduction in the number of persons applying for U.S. visas. Let's see. Let's watch it and see. The numbers don't lie. All if it was $1 million, Jamaicans will still find it same way. So 70K is nothing, says Courtney. This is Renz Peterkin is saying, somebody ask if the extra fee can be voided for people applying for third visa or more. That's evidence that you have zero intention on running off in their country. Vanessa Samos is saying, neither here nor there to me. America is not all it's cracked up to be. A lot of other countries there to travel. Lily Rose is saying, still not stopping Jamaicans from applying. Prince Wellington, that's a strong message that's being sent. What's the cost for Barbados and other Caribbean countries? Let me see. George Elliott, it seems harsh, but the 250 integrity portion is obviously designed to minimize the number of... I can't say that, George Elliott. That's unrelated. That's unrelated. Philip Jackson saying, everything have an expiration date, so too is mankind. Only what's done for Christ will lost. This too shall pass, he says. Jamaicans are some of the biggest hypocrites. We want to tell USA how to and who to come to their country. But when 177 Haitians came here, most was shouting, send them home, says Uriel. Wow. Nicola saying that it is sad this integrity fee will potentially harm the U.S. tourism sector. Integrity is honesty, so why the money is non-refundable if the visa is denied?
Juliet Richards is saying, I could have $100 million. Uncle Trump, no, we will find it. Christopher Isaac says, anyone who insists on applying for a U.S. visa at this cost will immediately come under suspicion. I wonder why. Johnny said, none of my business. It's none of her business. What's your reaction to U.S. visas now costing 70,000 Jamaican dollars? I must add to it that the 70,000 Jamaican dollars that took effect today, and it's payable for those who are successful in their visa application. Ain't nobody going to the U.S. Embassy to be unsuccessful. That's crazy. Let me see on our YouTube. Let me see. Fox says, I'm on Ban, yeah, and I'm on Levia. Okay. It's a bit harsh. That's according to Derek Isaacs. He's saying it's a bit harsh. How Jamaica people are ball for money so? Questioning Richards. Alicia Richards asks, oh, we are ball for money. Please? Okay. Greetings, Marigold. We see you. Who am I is questioning if him can get a visa to have dinner with. Okay. Wow, who am I? Aishan Khan is saying, I have way more than that already. I gave away more than that. Mr. People are going with themselves, because I see people saying $250 is nothing. I'm like, to you, it may not be nothing, but it's something to somebody. It's something to somebody. $200 US. Let me see. May I pay for my daughter, says Aishan Khan. Am I your daughter, Aishan Khan? Let me just ask. Me don't know. Let me see. It is worth it if it is successful, says Who Am I? Indeed. Let me see if I can scroll down. Jamaican people going to still find the visa fee, says Dwayne Woody. Cheerful Bird said, I don't plan to leave here. Yeah, I don't plan to leave here. Fax is questioning, what about the World Cup to be hosted in the US? Well, enough people now go. Yeah. Everyone will still have to pay the $185 US, which is non-refundable. The $250 is paid if you get the visa. Yeah, man, I said that several times, Everell Bell. I did say that several times, that you will pay the $250 only if you're successful. And I repeat, ain't nobody going to the US Embassy to be unsuccessful. I mean, if we all had the opportunity we wanted, we would have get the white paper and we'd have gone where we have go a long time. We'd have take plane like a taxi. Yeah. Barrington Anthony is saying all that increase will boost American economy and leave Jamaica poor. Mikul is saying that's brutal. It's a massive barrier for regular families, and the promised refund sounds like bureaucratic nonsense most people will never see. It's a pretty frustrating policy. I can see that. I definitely can see that. Never Bennett is questioning why we just stick to the law about the visa. Petrona says, I went to the embassy in 1996. They turned me down. I'm not going back. And Petrona, I've heard that from so many people, including relatives, that have been turned down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And, they say that they're not going back. They're not going back. To each his own. If you decide to go back, it's your choice, It's your choice. All right, guys, thank you so much for participating in Public Opinion. The Business Report is up next.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:32.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. The country's Independent Fiscal Commission, IFC, is warning of potential shortfalls in government revenues and capital spending. That's according to its 2025 statement on fiscal performance released today. Now, the IFC warns this could have a material impact on meeting budgeted targets. The IFC is the body now tasked with ensuring that the government remains in line with the country's fiscal rules. It replaced the Economic Program Oversight Committee, known as EPOC. In its latest statement on fiscal performance, the IFC flagged a $14 billion tax shortfall at the end of the last fiscal year, which has overstated the revenue base for 2025-26. Now, the Commission cautioned that the government may need additional revenues to meet budgeted targets. Further afield, Snapchat has announced it will start charging for storing photos and videos, prompting a backlash from users who have built up a large archive of old posts. The popular messaging app has allowed users to save and store previously posted content in its memories feature since it was introduced in 2016. But it says people with more than 5 gigabytes worth of memories will now need to pay to keep them available. Users on social media have reacted with dismay, accusing the company of being greedy. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 161 Jamaican dollars and 22 cents to buy $1, 216 Jamaican dollars and 87 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 116 Jamaican dollars and 51 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Enough power to big to small. Jack on my figure dig the wall. Up a Total Tools. Beat back a figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total Tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option.
Total Tools, located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slide Road, Kingston.
And lot C6 Jackson, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Give your team a glow up at the 2025 Business and Personal Etiquette Conference on November 6th at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Procure the presence, polish, and professionalism to make your team unforgettable. Hosted by Make Your Mark Consultants in partnership with Caledonia Outdoor Advertising, Visual Tech Solutions, Nationwide 90 FM, Main Event, and more. Register now at makeyourmarkgroup.com or call 876-978-6001 for the Business and Personal Etiquette Conference.
Tune in to Outside with Pepita on Saturday, October 4 from 3 to 6 p.m. as we broadcast live from the Aviation Expo 2025 at the School of Aviation. Get ready for the ultimate aviation experience. Come see thrilling aircraft displays, cutting-edge technology, and meet industry experts shaping the future of flight. From aviation professionals to curious explorers, there's something for everyone. Don't miss this high-flying event. Mark your calendars for October 4 at Tinson Pen Aerodrome, where Jamaica's skies come alive. Tune in to Outside with Pepita, Saturday, October 4 from 3 to 6 p.m. It's the Aviation Expo 2025 at the School of Aviation. Catch us live on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2, or stay tuned to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the School of Aviation.
Taboo topics, bulletins after dark,
riveting discussions,
celebrity news and interviews,
topics that are shunned by society,
and everything else in between.
Boyatings After Dark with Kareem Boyatings each and every Wednesday, 8 to 11 p.m.
Boyatings After Dark.
No topic is too taboo or hard to discuss.
Come get your mind blown and your curiosity explored. Boyatings After Dark.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Good evening, listeners and viewers. 6:38. It's time for the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell. Well, we turn to the unfortunate issue of the alarming increase in suicide rates. The JCF has released data showing what can be described as a troubling trend of suicide so far into the second half of the year. According to the statistics, 8 suicides were recorded in the month of July alone. That's a 33% increase when compared to July 2024. Cases of suicide also rose by 20% in August and 25% in September when compared to the same months last year. The most recent cases involve former Miss Jamaica contestant Tyra Spalding and a judge in the Trelawney Parish Court, Ruth Lawrence. The JCF says 44 cases of suicide have been recorded across the country since the start of the year. That's 9 fewer than the 53 cases reported between January and September 2024. Of the 44, 4 occurred in St. Catherine North in July, and the JCF says males continue to account for the vast majority of cases. Well, if you are someone you know need assistance, you can seek help from the Health Ministry's Suicide Prevention Helpline at 888-639-5433, the You Matter chat line at the 876-838-4897, or the Safe Spot at 888-723-3776. Well, joining us to discuss this further is Associate Counseling Psychologist specializing in play therapy at Family Life Ministries, Pauline Bain, President of the Jamaica Psychiatric Association, Dr. Brian Kazara, and counseling and consulting psychologist Dr. Leakim Samaj. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening to you all. Well, a troubling topic to discuss today, but let's start with you, Pauline Bain. What do you think the statistics coming from the JCF say about the current emotional and psychological state of Jamaican society?
Okay, good evening. To me, it seems as if people are responding more negatively to what's happening in the society. And there are lots of things happening that can affect people's thoughts and moods. For example, killings, job loss, and for children in particular, where I would prefer to focus, bullying, physical bullying and cyberbullying, feelings of being unsafe and insecure and not having a place to call refuge. So they feel alone and lost and find it difficult to have a desire to live. And this makes me very sad. So generally, that's what I would think is some things that are happening. Some things are happening.
And on that matter, Dr. Kazara, when you say something is happening, is it that the stresses of life are starting to mount on a lot of individuals because this increase seems to be year on year in terms of the suicides? Is there a concern that, I don't know, is it economic pressures or the life pressures that seem to be mounting on a lot of Jamaicans?
Yeah, thank you for having me here again. It's difficult to make an assessment so quickly in the midst of this trend. And the reality is, even though the trend is very concerning, we do have to acknowledge that this is over a fairly short duration of time. So it is appropriate that we are paying attention to it, but we also have to be careful not to extrapolate too much from what is a relatively short period of time. Regardless of that, though, I think some of the important points that were mentioned highlight some of the significant factors that contribute to persons engaging in suicidal behavior. The reality is that in Jamaica, many persons are dealing with mental health challenges and are not getting access to appropriate care. That's a big issue, and we need to try and find ways to make sure that persons can access the care they need. Substance abuse is a significant problem as well, and many Jamaicans actually don't get access to that. Social isolation, that's another big one. And when people feel socially isolated, they're more likely to engage in activities that might be harmful. And finally, the reality is there's a burden of adverse childhood events. A very large proportion of Jamaicans experience traumatic events during their childhood that actually affect them into adulthood. And so if we can find ways to address this in our society and among individuals, I think it will go a long way to remedying some of the psychological issues that lead to some of the concerns we're discussing.
And what are some of those clinical and psychological issues that people should be on the lookout in terms of their loved ones, co-workers, friends, that they should be concerned when these matters crop up?
Well, some of the common conditions that we see will include depression and anxiety, absolutely. And when it comes to what to look for in depression, you want to see if someone is complaining or expressing that they feel sad persistently for extended periods of time, at least 2 weeks or more. If they're no longer engaged in activities that they enjoy, if there's a significant disruption in sleep, perhaps sleeping too much or sleeping too little, and a disturbance in appetite, which can either be a reduction in appetite, but sometimes even an increase in appetite. Things like feeling tired all the time, having issues with concentration. When you see things like that happening, particularly in a person that may no longer be able to function as they once did in the workplace or academically, then that can be an indicator of some of the mental health challenges. There are many, and we wouldn't be able to go over all of them today, but certainly depression and anxiety are amongst the most common ones. And when they go unchecked, sometimes they can lead to negative consequences.
And Dr. Samaj, the matter, it seems to be the trend is more prevalent in men. 85%, if I recall at last statistic check, suicides are male. What is it specifically impacting men that causes such a great disparity?
Well, it's more complicated than that. In general, my work, I've been looking at this pattern globally over a long period of time, and I published a paper a couple years ago looked at that homicide and suicide are two sides of the same coin. Even though we look at one through the lens of the mental health system and the other through the criminal justice system. But they're both in terms of how the society deals with aggression and violence and how it's directed. Now, to your original question, more women attempt suicide in general, but more men are successful, to use a bad example, because of the methods that they use. The the typical thing that men do is it's immediate. Most often, a gun to the head or a rope around the neck and such. So once you go, but suicide in men is a cry for help. But it's really a way the society processes violence and aggression. So it is telling you something large. When you see shit in any situation, how the society is dealing with violence and aggression in terms of dealing with their personal, interpersonal, and intrapersonal conflicts. So that the mental health is more a common element, and the social cohesion and the social interactions provide the backdrop to which it's happened. So it's a problem with the society. We're having some serious issues.
You called it a cry for help. And in the cases of the disparity in terms of gender, is it suggesting then that men feel that there's no outlet for that cry to be heard, whereas women seem to have a better... what's the word I'm looking for here? A better social structure in which they feel they can express themselves more readily?
More than that, men are raised to be tough it out and you can deal with it and so on. But women have a greater health and help-seeking behavior than men. So that even with just physical ailments, just take contrast breast cancer and prostate cancer. Women, oftentimes, you detect it at stage. I know a case that detected at stage 0. For many men, prostate cancer is detected at stage 4. Because just the asking for help, help-seeking behavior, a lot of men just do not do it until it's too late. So when water more than flour, when you reach the breaking point, when you have no choice. Another point I want to make is that it's very hard for you to be the disease, the doctor, and the cure at the same time. And so many times when there's a mental health issue and you try to be all three, clearly you're going to get at least 2 of them wrong. So that once you have the disease, once you have the problem, you need to seek help. And so it's very important that in mental health related issues, individuals are less inclined to seek help. So it's important on the rest of us to see the symptoms and to either intervene if you can or make a referral. You get help for them.
And Pauline Bain, is this something that we take seriously in Jamaica? I know I lived in Guyana for quite a few years, and I know there were certain lyrics and songs that were almost outright censored or banned from being aired publicly because of what was said in those lyrics, and I found it very curious. Whereas in Jamaica, such songs would probably have just been fair to air on the airwaves publicly. Is it that we don't take this matter of suicide seriously in Jamaica?
Yes, I believe that we don't take it seriously and we don't listen enough to what our children, our adolescents, and adults are saying. Because when somebody starts to say, I wish I were not born, I wish I were dead, I don't want to live anymore, we don't take it seriously. Sometimes some members of family say, okay, go kill yourself then. So it's our attitude to it, and this is what I think we need to change. If a little child, and I have had 5 and 6-year-olds who say they don't want to live, if a little child or adolescent says, I don't want to live, the parents, the loved ones need to probe to find out what's really happening. And we need to teach our children and our people to express their feelings. When I ask somebody about feelings, they start telling me what they're thinking. And I'm saying, but that's not a feeling. Are you afraid? Are you happy? Are you sad? So learning how to express feelings is an important aspect of beginning to understand what's happening to the person. And so I think we need to take it more seriously and not brush it off and say, go on about your business. Look how much I do for you. Because that's what some parents do. They tell the children off instead of trying to stop and listen. And there's a theory called mirror neuron. If the child comes to you and you start shouting and you're angry, then the child begins to take on your feelings and feels angry and wants to shout also. So it's important for us to learn how to be calm, how to regulate ourselves, and how to listen. I would say 100 times, listening and paying attention to what's happening to anybody in your household. If the person is withdrawn, or if the person becomes too happy, that can also be a problem. We need to be more focused and pay attention.
And Dr. Kazara, what is the state of our infrastructure, so to speak, in terms of outreach, the ability for those who might be feeling depressed or otherwise not in the proper mental state, so to speak, in terms of their ability to reach out to either a clinical psychiatrist or somebody who could assist them? Do we have those things in place?
Right, so that's an important question. The reality is that there are provisions in place right now for persons who feel like they need to access mental health services. What we always encourage persons to do, if you are dealing with mental health challenges, is to go to your nearest health center. Across Jamaica, there are health centers that are near in most communities, and in them you have doctors and other staff that are trained and qualified to deal with mental health challenges. And in the event that the challenge might be particularly severe or complicated, they also know how to adequately refer. In the event that there's a psychiatric emergency, like a real mental health emergency, then we encourage persons to go to the public hospitals. You can go to the emergency rooms and you'll be seen by medical staff there that will try and address the issue accordingly. But those are two of the resources that are available to all Jamaicans. In addition to that, and you guys would have mentioned it already, of course, there is the mental health hotline, 188 New Life. We actually found out recently that there's been a significant uptick in the utilization of that hotline. So it's very clear that this is a service that Jamaicans value and are using. So those are some of the options available. The reality is that the demand for mental health services is quite high, and there are only so many mental health professionals in Jamaica, especially in the public system. There are only so many psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors in the public system, so that's always going to be a challenge. But these are some of the avenues that are available.
And Dr. Samaj, Dr. Kazara says the demand is high, but is that suggesting that it is being utilized at its full capacity in terms of are the individuals who need that help reaching out in the numbers that they should, or is the stigma attached to mental health still there and is still resulting in a lot of underreporting of mental crises?
I believe the latter. There's still a very significant stigma associated with it, and we rationalize it sometimes. We laugh it off. We make jokes about it, and the individual is suffering in silence. But probably the more we speak about it and make it a topic that it is okay to not be okay, something can be done to fix it. It is quite likely that individuals will not necessarily volunteer, say that look, I need help, but those close to them, seeing the signs and the symptoms, will induce them or even direct them to make a referral so that they can get the help that they need before it's too late.
And Paula Bain, final word to you in terms of someone listening who might be struggling with depression or otherwise feeling out of sorts and could be struggling with thoughts, suicidal thoughts. What do they do? Who do they reach out to immediately? And how do they seek long-term intervention?
Well, first of all, if they're having a relationship with family members that's close enough that they feel that they can talk, that is the first step. But sometimes the relationships with the family members are not good, so they will not talk. And so they can, if it's an adult, talk to somebody at work. If it's a child, go to the guidance counselor. I tell the children, go to the guidance counselor, talk to your guidance counselor, talk to your teacher. Teachers and guidance counselors are a bit more aware, although they still need a lot of training to be able to see what's happening and help. They could talk to somebody in their church if they go to church. And really, sometimes they're not going to talk. We who are sensitive will see what's happening and begin to ask the right questions to find out how they're feeling, what are they thinking of doing. Because this is a very difficult situation, and it's not easy for people to talk unless they trust you and they can feel safe and secure in your presence. So there's no easy answer.
But I know I said that was the last question, but Dr. Kazara, because of that talk with Ms. Bain, I do have another question. If somebody does reach out to you in terms of they confide in you that they're feeling depressed and that depression, you are concerned, could lead to them causing self-harm, is it a betrayal of their trust if you then try to reach out to some professional or somebody in the police to say, this person seems to be out of sorts, I would really appreciate it if you spoke to them? Would that be a betrayal of their trust?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. What I would say is that, if someone is experiencing significant mental health challenges and they open up to you, the most important thing you can do is to listen and be supportive. Now, there is something called suicide risk assessment, and that's usually done by professionals, and that will give us an idea of the degree to which it is likely that someone may engage in that behavior. But if someone you're speaking to is not directly suggesting that they're in that frame of mind, meaning that they want to engage in that behavior, then I actually wouldn't recommend that you immediately go and try and connect them to professional services if they're not willing to do so. You certainly can encourage and suggest it, but if it is that they're not seeing that, I would advise that you not take that step, because they may in fact feel like you have betrayed them. In this scenario where they've been very explicit or outlined that they do in fact have some thoughts of self-harm or anything of the sort, then at that point in time, you would want to strongly encourage that they get connected to professional services as quickly as possible. Again, maybe sometimes an easy starting point is a hotline, the mental health hotline, mental health and suicide prevention hotline. Sometimes it's an easy start. Of course, you direct them to the hospital and the health center as well.
Dr. Brian Kazar, he's the president of the Jamaica Psychiatric Association. We also have with us consulting psychologist Dr. Leakim Samaj and associate counseling psychologist specializing in play therapy at Family Life Ministries, Pauline Bain. Thank you all three for joining us. And to those listeners listening, again, I put this out. If you feel you need some help or assistance, you can reach out to the Health Ministry's Suicide Prevention Helpline at 888-639-5433, the You Matter chat line at 876-838-4897, or the Safe Spot at 888-723-3776. Also, a slight correction in the brief at the start. Tara Spalding, the parish court judge from Trelawney, it's not quite clear if what happened to her suicide. It is a suspected suicide. This time the JCF has not confirmed if that matter is indeed a suicide. Also, it is not a year-on-year increase in suicide. It is just 3 specific months in the latter part of 2025 where there has been an increase over the months in 2024. That is, let me just double check here, that is the months of August, September and July. So those 3 specific months have seen increases in suicides. I believe next is the Watchman listeners, and then your calls. Again, the numbers 630-937-124 and 618-8255.
Every time you a link with a condom, coulda Ozzy, coulda wife, coulda be a random. Do it for your best life.
The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is...
It's 2 minutes past 7.
Looking for superior quality transportation from an international award-winning provider? Well, look no further. Choose Island Car Rentals, Jamaica's leading car rental company, setting the standard for road transportation in Jamaica. For over 50 years, Island Car Rentals has been your trusted partner for reliable, top-quality vehicles. But we're more than just a car rental company. Need an airport transfer at any hour? Heading out of town and want to travel in style with a private chauffeur? Need a truck to rent for business or personal use? Or maybe you need a customized shuttle or tour for a large or a small group? Whatever your transportation need, Island Car Rentals has you covered. Call us today at 876-926-8012 or 876-929-5875 or visit www.islandcarrentals.com to book your next trip. Because Island people take better care of you.
Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Stay ahead of the curve with our cutting-edge reporting and accurate breaking news coverage.
We're having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Hear it here first on Nationwide 90 FM. Tune in, turn up the volume, and listen. We bring a mix of news, entertainment, and sports to your lives.
Nationwide 90 FM's live and continuous coverage of the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary.
News and discussions week mornings.
Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning.
Entertainment in the afternoons, then news again in the evenings.
Nationwide news at this hour, fired.
Also tune into the entertainment and sports shows in the nights and on the weekends.
It is Boy Things After Dark right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
Everything is news, from current affairs and entertainment to sports, business, and other categories.
Nationwide 90 FM. This is Beanie Man. Give it to them. Zaga, Zen.
From every whisper to every commotion.
That's rubbish. The KSAMC cannot investigate itself.
Every news story unfolds here first at Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Every sound is a story, and every story we share is news.
The Watchman, exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional, Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. The church and politics. The population and housing census done in 2011 by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, produced the following results. Of a total population of 2,697,983 at the time, 2,050,771 persons, 76%, had affiliation spread over 21 religious associations. Few would argue with the view that the church is the largest membership organization in Jamaica, dwarfing the political parties in terms of the number of registered members. Pollster Don Anderson is on record saying, and I quote him, "Christians represent a significant majority of the voting public," end quote. Christians, however, do not vote as a bloc in Jamaica. Compare this to our neighbor to the north, America, where avowed and unrepentant sinner Donald Trump panders to white evangelical Christians who are credited with electing him to the presidency for a second time, without which he would have almost certainly lost on moral grounds. There is no overt attempt similar to Trump's courting of the Christian voting population by political parties in Jamaica to capture the Christian vote, although the parties sometimes timidly tip their hat in that direction. The People's National Party
PNP 2025 election manifesto promised establishment of a $1 billion fund replenished annually to empower churches and faith-based organizations to support community-driven programs in education, family strengthening, economic resilience, and social cohesion. At a PNP political meeting in Mount Salem, St. James, a lay preacher took to the platform to declare God's displeasure with the ruling Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, and to predict the party's downfall in the general election. Almost simultaneously, the JLP were staging a gospel concert in St. Thomas. What's at the root of this standoff between the church and politics? Jamaican pastors seem unified in the view that the pulpit should be used for soul winning, not election winning. Speaking at a recent forum, deacon in the Roman Catholic Church, Peter Espute, said the following, I quote, "When we speak about the Christian vote, Christians should vote in such a way that the government that is elected will work to bring God's kingdom." End quote. Is there any wonder that in one poll among churchgoers, over 70% said the church has no interest in or influence over matters of national development? Neither should one be surprised that in the recent general election, the Jamaica First Movement, JFM, headed by a well-known clergyman, proved to be a non-starter. And the Jamaica Progressive Party, JPP, which ran on a Christian agenda, mustered little support among Christians. One is not here advocating politicization of the pulpit, but instead pointing to a missed opportunity by the church to leverage its numbers in advocating a better deal for the poor who sit in the pews. Think on these things.
Produced by Agency for Inner City Renewal, AIR, and recorded in the Jamming Studio, Trenchtown, a breath of fresh air bringing change to the inner city.
Ever wondered how to spot a scam before it drains your account? Or how Jamaica's top financial crime fighters track down the money? Join the Financial Investigations Division on Nationwide This Morning, every first and third Friday at 8:20 a.m. for FID in Action, an informative, engaging feature designed to keep you and your money safe. Learn practical tips to help you spot, prevent, and report financial crimes. Understand how the FID protects the financial system. That's FID in Action, protecting you, preventing financial crime. On Nationwide This Morning, every first and third Friday at 8:20 a.m. Brought to you by the Financial Investigations Division.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton, weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. I know you're eager to speak with us, but I have just been informed by my producer there's still one more item on the agenda, and that is the United States federal government officially shutting down at midnight Wednesday. Well, technically it would have been midnight Tuesday, triggering significant concerns across the world's largest economy among its allies and trading partners. The government came to a halt at 12:01 a.m. after lawmakers failed to break a deadlock over federal spending. The shutdown has set off a series of furloughs, service disruptions, and growing economic uncertainty. Mahiri Stewart explains what happens in the wake of a U.S. government shutdown.
At the heart of the standoff is a clash between U.S. President Donald Trump and congressional Democrats over health care and budget priorities. Democrats have demanded that any stopgap funding measure include an extension of Affordable Care Act, premium subsidies, more well known as Obamacare, which helps millions of Americans afford insurance. Republicans led by Trump and Senate Majority Leader John Thune have refused to make healthcare policy part of budget negotiations, insisting that such issues be addressed separately. As the government ground to a halt, agencies were directed to prepare not only for furloughs, but possible layoffs, a departure from past shutdowns where workers were guaranteed back pay once the government reopened. As a result, up to 750,000 federal employees are expected to be sent home without pay. Essential personnel such as military service members, air traffic controllers, and federal law enforcement officers will continue to work, but without paychecks until funding resumes. National parks and museums face closures or limited access, and key social programs that provide nutrition support could see immediate disruption. The shutdown could also impact individuals traveling to and from the United States. The Federal Aviation Administration has warned that more than 11,000 staff may be furloughed, raising concerns about travel delays. Beyond the immediate impacts, economists warn the shutdown could weigh on consumer confidence and financial markets, which has a knock-on effect for countries reliant on U.S. trade. Negotiations remain at a standstill, with Senate Republicans proposing temporary extensions to keep the government running until November, but Democrats have blocked those measures, holding firm on healthcare subsidies. For now, the world's largest economy is once again caught in the grip of partisan warfare, with federal workers, travelers, and families bearing the brunt of the fallout. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Mahiri. So there you have it, listeners. The U.S. again, I wouldn't even say on the brink, has shut down. I think this is not unusual that countries had quite a few shutdowns as the Congress, Democrats versus Republicans, along with the president, wrangle over this matter of their spending priorities. And there is long-standing I don't know how to put it, this long-standing issue that many Republicans have with Obamacare, putting it to a side. It seems the Democrats are not going to back down on the fight this time. What say you, Sanjay?
But you know, Siobhan, the shutdown of the U.S. government it's not just a political tug-of-war in Washington, as you know some people may see it, but it's an event with real consequences for ordinary people, both in America, and we have to look beyond its borders, because the impact we will see on families dependent on social programs, we could see disruptions there. Travelers may face airport delay, as Mahiri indicated in that wrap. And businesses that rely on consumer confidence are bracing for a slowdown. And of course, how it impacts us here in the Caribbean, we cannot ignore the ripple effects, because the U.S. is Jamaica's largest trading partner and our biggest source market for tourism. Mm-hmm. So a prolonged shutdown could dampen the American consumer spending and of course their confidence, which in turn may hit travel demand and trade flows in our region. So we have to look just beyond the United States and how it can affect us here in the Caribbean.
And it's unfortunate. It's one of those things that's very unique to the uneven relationship that the United States has with so many countries around the world. Their impact on the nations that they trade with is so unequal that even in what should essentially be an internal matter, it has far-reaching ramifications for many outside of its borders.
But you know, Siobhan, what I'm also learning is what is striking in this shutdown. When you compare to past shutdown, workers could at least count on back pay once the crisis was resolved. This time, the uncertainty is even greater. So that's why this shutdown feels so different. It's not just politics, it's really the livelihood of individuals on the line.
Yes, and many of those individuals, as you rightfully pointed out, would be the one planning a vacation, utilizing that source of revenue to come to Jamaica or otherwise shop and essentially better the economy. We can only watch to see how long this will go on. It doesn't seem either side is willing to back down in terms of their demands, but in the interest of the global scale of what could potentially happen, we hope that this matter is resolved as quickly as possible. But I see some pundits expecting this to drag on for at least a month. I hope it does not take that long.
I really hope, because that is not good for the Americans and also for those outside of the America, people like us in Jamaica who depend on tourism, and also those who depend on their family members back home, back in the United States, to send remittances back home here in Jamaica.
I see one listener saying they're against Obamacare, but for the Affordable Care Act, many of such of the man's voters had no idea that they were the same thing. So yeah, there are a lot of people who rely on Obamacare. It has been one of the most heavily utilized government medical programs in terms of providing affordable access to drugs and healthcare. But the Republicans have been, for the better part of the last decade, in their sole attempt to either curtail it or remove it entirely. And I've never understood fully this almost adverse relationship in the United States that the Republicans have in terms of state-sponsored healthcare. I've never fully understood it. It seems as one of those very outmoded understandings of healthcare that is not shared with the rest of the world, where in most other countries, healthcare is, I won't say completely state-funded, but at least heavily state-subsidized. And United States Republicans almost always seem to be heavily against it. I've never understood that relation there. It's always seemed strange to me.
Yeah, and it's funny because I know the Republicans, they have, as you indicated, they have fought this idea of Obamacare, but we are yet to hear of a replacement. Remember, in the first term, President Trump indicated that they will repeal and replace.
Yes.
And to this minute, I'm not sure what is it that they're going to replace it with, because we can't seem to find a viable option.
Well, time will tell. The current president can only serve this term out. And after that, I think, I expect to some degree, despite his impact on the Republican Party, I suspect there will be a differentiation in the U.S. politics once this president, Donald Trump, has completed his final tenure. I suspect there will be a shakeup in terms of how we go forward in terms of the practice of politics in the United States. But only time will tell in that matter. And I suppose the callers now are probably very upset that we've taken up so much of their time. So we are going to straight to your calls, no break, straight to your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Ulrich, you're on the line.
Good evening, Sanjay. Good evening, Siobhan.
Good evening, Ulrich.
Yeah, I am not upsetting because I'm learning, because that was where I was going to go first with the Republican, because if I am right, isn't it the first time that the Democrats are going to vote and cause the country to come to a shutdown?
No, but it's the first time that it seems it's the first time I have seen in recent history where the Democrats seem quite hell-bent that they are not going to back down in terms of their demands. In most cases, I've seen where the president has been able to get a deal across the finish line relatively quickly, even preventing the shutdown altogether because the Democrats fold under the pressure. But it seems that they're not folding this time.
That is what I was talking about. But look here, why is the Republicans so much against Obamacare? Who suffers the most if they cut it out?
I can't answer that question, Ulrich. To my understanding, I believe it's this matter of disdain for state funding of certain things. I think there is this underpinning of the conservative belief that in a laissez-faire economy, the state should not have a heavy say in what you spend money on. And remember, the Obamacare is funded by taxpayers, so I think that is the underpinning of it. But I think there's an acceptable understanding amongst modern day human rights belief that something like healthcare requires a state element to it. I don't know of any other country in the world that denies that requirement of a state funding option. Not even here in Jamaica, where we're trying to move toward a greater state funding option for healthcare through the National Health Fund.
And I just add one thing before you come in. Add one thing, Alaric. One thing.
The Democrats look like they're going to talk out this one. When is the midterm election?
I believe that's what, next year? Or early next year?
You understand? You guys are the journalists.
I think it's next year. I need to double check that, but I believe it's next year because that would be the middle term of the current term.
Before I go, Siobhan.
Yes.
Siobhan?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's something that bothers me a little bit. Two prominent ladies retired recently in Jamaica, and you've only heard about one. One is somebody I figured you should have spoken about a little bit more, Marlene Street Forrester. She has contributed so much to this country.
I'm well aware.
Everybody has been talking about the DPP, and I didn't hear anybody talking about her and the vast contributions she has made to the development of
the stock exchange. No, I'm well aware of Marlene Street Forest's retirement from the JSE. It's just, I mean, I wasn't here last week in November. I was on special assignment, so unfortunately that coincided with her retirement. So I was out in the woods.
Yeah, but I think we should applaud her a little more. She has
brought the JSE. She has brought the JSE quite far.
She should get her applaud, but I think Marley needs some applaud.
And the JSE has seen the most significant expansion in terms of the props, the praise, and in terms of its actual trading volume under her leadership. So yes, you are right. She should get quite the standing ovation for her service at the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Well, thank you for the call, Alaric. Bobby, good evening, sir.
Hello, Bobby.
Bobby? Oh dear, looks like we lost Bobby there. So yes, so as a caller said, next year, November 2026, is the midterm season, and that is when we'll see if we'll get a sense if the country is tired of the Trump way of doing things.
I just wanted to add one thing though, because I was trying to point it out to Alaric, because the Democrats and the Republicans, they have clashed over a range of issues: the spending levels, the debt level, even the border wall funding. You will remember.
Yes, I recall those.
Right.
Yes.
But this time, Democrats are insisting that the Affordable Care Act subsidies must be part of any deal, refusing to treat it as a side issue. That's the difference now, and the level of stridency reflects how central, as you're indicating, Siobhan, how central healthcare has become to their political identity. That's the Democrats. Because for the Democrats, remember, protecting Obamacare is not just about dollars and cents. It's about safeguarding
lives,
coverage for millions of Americans. Yeah, it's important.
And I just don't understand why there's this reticence on the part of Republicans in terms of maintaining it. I don't know if it's just a legacy issue, but I don't see a credible plan in terms of addressing many of the healthcare needs provided through Obamacare being provided by the Republicans as an alternative. And I really wonder if it just does come down to the simple fact that they hate any form of socialized healthcare, even if that is the way the world is going.
But that's exactly what it is, because my thing is, okay, you are not in agreement with the Affordable Care Act. Fine. What is the replacement? Because all we're hearing is we need to repeal Obamacare, right? But what is the replacement? How are you going to ensure that the lives of many Americans are safeguarded when you remove the Affordable Care Act? And we're not hearing a viable response, which is why I'm so happy that the Democrats are so strident as it relates to it. It's the first I've seen them so strident on a particular issue.
When I compare the U.S. system to how we practice our own politics here in Jamaica, it's one of those things that I'm quite thankful for, because I could not imagine this country functioning in a scenario where the government was beholden to the opposition to pass its budget. I cannot imagine our country functioning in that scenario. But Bobby, you're on the line. Good evening. Bobby, I'm hearing the crickets, but I'm not hearing you. Bobby, are you there? Oh, there. Bobby is still not there, unfortunately. But on this matter of universal healthcare, I understand that we are moving to that path here in Jamaica. The government has spoken to the need for it, and I can see us adopting that in the future. But I still wonder what we're going to do in terms of the funding model. I think that's the part that's going to be tricky, because I don't think it's avoidable that it will require a certain level of increased taxation. And remember, the government has, and I think many Jamaicans have kind of accepted the unwillingness now to adopt new taxes. But I think in that matter, in that case, they're going to have to sit with the people of Jamaica and explain that this will require an additional source of taxation if we're going to move towards universal basic health care in Jamaica. It's not avoidable, but I don't know if we're ready to have that discussion, because we've had such a long string of now going, nearly a decade where we've not imposed additional taxation measures on the Jamaican people, that I think a lot of Jamaicans will be gun shy to hear that something as important as that will possibly require additional taxation.
And you know, as indicated, the universal health care, it is important because it guarantees that access to medical treatment, and it is not limited to the size of an individual wallet. Can you imagine needing health care, but you cannot get it because you can't afford it? So that's why it is so important. And you're right, beyond the economics of it, Siobhan, it's something that governments have to look to, and how is it that they're going to fund it? Yeah. And does it mean greater taxation? That's a hard question. Yeah. But it's a hard conversation also to have, that any government should have with their people within the country. But it's important. It's needed. It has to be funded.
I think many Jamaicans would accept that, because it is terrifying to be in a position where your life comes down to a dollar value.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, and it's happened so much that I don't think any Jamaican, unfortunately, should be subjected to that, to struggle with something, for example, cancer or another life-threatening illness, and to realize that your ability to fight that disease will come down to whether you can afford to pay for it. And I've always struggled with that understanding as to how in the United States many people don't see that as a reality. It's fine if you're young, 20, you're unlikely to be concerned about health issues, but there are many people, diabetics, those struggling with cancer, those struggling with other conditions, that they would, if not for Obamacare, not be alive today. And I think that should be a sobering understanding that should hit any American.
Indeed.
Yep. But we're going to take a break, listeners, and then we come back for your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255.
New NHT loans now in effect, up to 9 million for individuals and as high as 23 million for co-applicants, making home ownership more accessible for Jamaicans. We are building Jamaica.
The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is...
It's 7:31.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. A slight apologies there. I'm just now understanding that there was an issue with the phone lines. I believe we have that sorted out now. So again, the numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. So my apologies. I've been asking you to call in, but we did have a problem with the phone lines that I believe is now sorted out. Faithful, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello, Faithful.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
I'm very fine, thank you, sir. Yeah, the bank is the commercial bank. I heard Mr. Boyce is complaining that if he lowered the bank rate, and he is asking the two big commercial banks to lower the bank rate, they refuse. I heard the industry minister, I heard the finance minister, I heard Julian, I heard Mr. Fix Jackson, I heard the Small Business Association, I heard everybody calling, even from the private sector, public sector, everybody. And yes, these two guys, they just have people in slavery. Are people in assistance, and no matter what nobody says, whether government, opposition, doesn't matter what anybody said, they're not budging.
That's the price of working in a market economy, Faithful. I mean, so other than market forces, there's not much that can be done to persuade a banking entity as large as the two largest banks in the countries to adjust their interest rates downwards if it's not in their best interest. That's the reality of being in a market economy.
You are saying, Chevron, there's nothing can be done. So is it a case that we have to be bandaged for the rest of our lives?
No, what can be done is going to take some time, and I think this is what a lot of Jamaicans aren't really on board with. Things take time, and this is a matter of creating a more competitive space in the banking industry, and that's going to take time. So until we have those new universal know your customer systems where you can transfer your bank account within 5 minutes, you're going to create it's just not going to be a scenario where the banks feel compelled to lower the interest rate as readily as possible. It's just not in their best favor in terms of a profit-making entity.
So do you think it is fair for these two banks have so much power?
It's not a matter of fairness, it's a matter of market powers.
No, but
Faithful.
And Faithful, remember, Jamaica operates in a free market economy, and in principle, it should mean competition drives down costs for consumers. In banking, though, the reality it feels very different.
It should be competition that drives down. I agree with that. But therefore, I am blaming the Bank of Jamaica then, because I think Mr. Boyce and his people are taking too long.
But they can only operate within the time frame and the regulatory authority given to them. And this matter of moving towards a more universal system was something, I think it was a mandate handed to them, 2023, 2024, and you can't move mountains in terms of adjusting the entire way we regulate banks in a country like Jamaica within just a few years. That's not realistic.
And don't forget also that, but hold on, because our banking sector is highly concentrated, right? With only a few few dominant institutions controlling most of the market, and the competition is limited. That's the problem that we have, you know.
On these two banks, and they are making billions and billions of dollars. Who the one that control the regulation to know your number?
No, that was with the BOJ, yes.
Yeah. Right. So why is that they're taking so long to do?
Because remember, the BOJ was not an independent organization till recent, you know, and even then it still has a certain level of oversight provided by the government in terms of policy, regulation, and legislation. And these are all things that need to align to get the banks to change. And it's going to take time. It's not an overnight fix.
Right. I just not it's far too unjust with these two guys. These two foreign banks have such great power over now Jamaican people who want to invest. It's too onerous, man, and to me it's next to wickedness. And nothing can be done. That's what is terrible.
You'll be surprised to find out that it's not much different in other Caribbean countries. You know, we operate in a very relatively small space that lends credibility to this idea of what you have is either one single large entity dominating a specific industry or multiple large entities, a small group of oligarchs that dominate that industry. That is why we have such difficulty in terms of competitiveness. It's not like a space where in like Great Britain or the United States where you can have several entities operating relatively easily in such a space. That's just a reality. It takes time. We're going to get there, Faithful, but it takes time. Papa Nana, good evening. Papa Nana, are you there? Oh dear, it seems we're... Papa Nana? No, it seems we're still having issues with the phone lines, listeners and viewers.
We need to remind listeners also, and just following on that point regarding the central bank. The central bank cannot dictate lending rates in a free market system. Yeah, so it can increase transparency, it can push for greater competition in the financial sector, it can strengthen regulation that encourage banks to align their lending practices with the economic realities. But at the end of the day, they can't force the banks to lower their rate because it's a competitive environment. And as you indicated, Siobhan, the BOJ needs time. Yeah, they are now independent. They can make some other changes. Time is a master of everything, and we just have to allow them time to help with this process.
As I said, I don't see any other way out of it. I mean, the Bank of Jamaica does its best in terms of putting its finger on the scale in terms of its policy rate, which the sole function is to drive changes in terms of giving the banks incentives to lower their own rates. Right. But when a bank looks at its balance sheet and says, well, I locked in X amount of customers at, say, 7% interests, what is the benefit to me to now say, well, I want to lose money by lowering that interest rate to 5%? What is the benefit to them?
Especially when they will come with the argument that, look, our loan, we have this loan portfolio, we have so many individuals who have defaulted on this loan, and it's a loan that we're not getting back the money that we need, so we have to have that safe gap in place to cushion for those individuals who are not compliant, who are not paying back the loan that they would have received.
Good evening, Paul. Are you there? Our line's killing us this evening, unfortunately. We're going to try to get those sorted out, listeners, but we have to do what we can. But I want to hear you, Sanjay, on this matter of the U.S. visa integrity fee, as they call it. Are you of the belief that this is going to have the desired impact the Trump administration believes it will, or is it just comes down as just another revenue measure, so to speak?
It's going to be another revenue measure, and I'm happy that we were able to get the views of some of those Jamaicans on the streets who have largely indicated that, look, at the end of the day, if I need a visa, I am going to find that extra $250 to pay so that I can get that visa. And Jamaicans for a very long time, If they realize that they need to get something, they need to acquire something, they need to have their visa in place, they are going to save their money to get whatever they need. But largely, it's not going to serve as a deterrent, Siobhan, and individuals will find that funds. And as Wayne Golden indicated, if an individual wants to leave whichever country that they're from and go to the US to do evil stuff, they will find whatever money that they need to find to ensure that they get access to the United States. So it's not going to serve its intended purpose.
And if the intention is for nefarious reasons, one imagines that a criminal organization would probably be able to pay that quite easily. And just write it off as an expense.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it really only hurts those who are already struggling. And I think that's an unfortunate message to send from the United States. But we accept that the current administration is quite insular, and the focus is to reduce the number of immigrants coming in. They believing that will somehow strengthen the position of the locals in the United States. But I don't know if that's the case, because at the end of the day, many of the jobs that are filled in terms of migrant workers are the type of jobs that most Americans would not do at the cost or the price that the companies are willing to pay the migrants to do them, and which the price the migrants are willing to accept. And I think that has always been the paradigm that has impacted immigration to the United States. I don't know how you change that aspect. Maybe the belief is by limiting immigration, you therefore force the companies to give a better wage in terms of making it more attractive for the people living in the United States to take on those roles. But I think the system is so ingrained at this point that I don't see it changing in tune with this measure of putting in a $250 US fee.
Yeah, and individuals, as indicated, they will pay that $250. It's not going to serve as a deterrent at all for individuals who want to go to the US to overstay their visa or do other nefarious activities. This is not going to stop them at all. $250, they'll find that easily.
Omalu, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Siobhan.
How are you doing?
Good evening, Sanjay. I'm doing okay. But I want to take you at task right at this moment, Siobhan.
What's up?
When you say that we are operating in a market economy.
Yes.
And that is the reason why the banks operate the way they operate. Is it that you're saying the market economy doesn't operate with regulations from the government and rules from the government? It's they who set their rules and regulations?
Yes, laws? But the rules don't allow us to tell the banks that you must charge 2% interest rate. That's not within the rules.
But that would
be actually a very significant violation of any market principle.
But listen. When we talk about market, we cannot speak as if the market is from nature. The market rules and the way the market operates is based on the regulations and policy of the government.
Right, but those regulations have to be in such a way that they're sensible. For example, if I'm going to sell a patty for $200 because my input cost was $180, but the bank or the government says, no, you have to charge $150, what's the point of me being in business? And when we did do that in the past, how did that work out for us?
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we can make it out to be and let Jamaica people think that it is just the market itself rather than...
But how is that your takeaway, Omalu? Because I made it quite clear that these regulations take time and that the government and the Bank of Jamaica are working to move those regulations in place or to adjust it to such a system to make the system more palatable to Jamaicans. I put that in place. But within those strictures, the market still must apply its strengths and weaknesses.
No, you see, we don't listen to this market thing, because we know how markets operate and what makes markets operate the way the markets operate, yeah? And it's laws and legislations and regulations and all these type of things. And if government are in full control of government and they are not beholden to these institutions where they are captured, the government will make policies and laws in the interest of who put them there. But it is kind of a shady and a troubling situation when we are living in a society where these banks can do and just act the way how they want to act, regardless of the people cry, and the government really can just go into parliament and say, we know these are the best thing for the nation to move forward and the best way for development of this nation.
But
and
Amala, I think the point is, though, with a free market economy, government cannot. Free market economy really focuses on supply and demand, right? So you leave the market to determine the price, production,
there is no
of goods
such
and
thing that is
services.
rubbish.
Hold on, though. What you have in a free market economy, you have regulation. So government regulate the market just to ensure that there's a fair playing field. But the government cannot come to say to the banks, we want you to set your interest rate at 2%. But they can create certain regulations to encourage the banks to do so. But they cannot.
The government can say, just like in the U.S., when our rates decrease and come down, your rates have to follow.
In which U.S. government does that happen?
When does that happen in the U.S.?
Have you ever seen the rate in the U.S.?
No. But when is it that the government in the United States indicated to any bank that they have to lower their rate?
No, the government don't have to direct tell a bank that. They put it in the Federal Reserve mandates and put it in law.
You mean similar to what we do here in terms of keeping inflation within a certain band and giving the BOJ the authority to set their policy rates and as a result move the market forces?
This is the responsibility of the government.
But do you know why? Do you know why it is more responsive in the U.S. in terms of changes? Because you don't just have one big bank or two big banks. You have several regional banks competing. You have several large banks competing for their size of the pie.
Ricardo,
here in Jamaica we have two.
Ricardo, in this country is not a country that is not known to have more than these type. How many banks we have now? Yeah? But this country has consolidated itself into this group of banks.
But do you know why that happened?
Just a minute.
No, but Amala, you know why that happened, right?
I'm going to tell you. It is called finance capitalism. It is called finance. Jamaicans, go look up what is finance capitalism. It is called finance capitalism, where it consolidates all these these banks into one big bank and having them control the economy and then leech off the workers in Jamaica rather than put money in industries where they can make money. That is why when we go to the ATM now, even when I go to Scotia, I am paying on my bank card to use a Scotia card, because what it is that they don't lend money in industries to develop industries. They leech off the taxpayers. The same model that is used in America is used in here. Yeah, we have to understand economics.
That's not true, Amalo. But
that's not what's true.
Because I know many banks in the United States don't even charge their customers fees because it's that much of a competitive environment that they have to find other ways to attract their customers. Here in Jamaica, you don't have that ability because you have two large banks that control the majority of the market. As a result, it's not a competitive environment as it should be.
Ricardo, in America, the leeching is the same way. They may not charge you on the card, but they live off what they live off in America. They live off the wages of the people. That's why the companies in America leave and goes overseas, because the Wall Street need an higher return. They have no interest in investing in those companies in America. That's why those companies leave, so they live off the wages and they create security in Wall Street of people's debt. So it's a leech in a different way. You have to understand how the system works.
All right, Amalo.
Thank you, Amalo.
Who is that? Bobby, maybe. Bobby, we'll see. How are you?
Yes, good evening.
You're actually there this time, Bobby.
Yes, good evening, Trevor, and good evening, Sanjay. Boy, it seems like there's a problem with the phone line on Nationwide, man.
Yes, unfortunately. We're trying to work through it, though.
Well, yes, I understand. Two quick things I would like to talk about. I'm so happy that Paul Buchanan loses his bid in the Constitutional Court because I don't know why him don't keep himself quiet.
A bid suggested it had even the inkling of a chance of a success.
Right. Hey, man, Mr. Buchanan, go and sit down at home. You say enjoy your pension and wait until 5 years time again. So because you can't expect you are going to win in the Prime Minister's constituency. You know how long the Prime Minister is there, boss? The other thing I would like to put out. Have you guys hear the advice coming from Mafu to the government?
Yes, I heard what he put forward. I realized that what he suggested has rubbed quite a lot of Jamaicans the wrong way, but I understand the spirit in which it was said, because he has a point that we have a very, very ridiculously cumbersome public sector in an environment where we are struggling for private sector jobs, where there's just not enough people to fill them. So I understand where he's coming from in terms of that. And there is a need to restrain the wage bill. It is becoming ridiculous.
But the fact is, Chevron, if I was in Mafu, well, no, for example, in my situation now, God forbid my government had lost the election on the 3rd of September and the PNP is in office. And I have powers in this country like William Mafu and all the rest. You think I would have given the government that type of advice? It would have been political suicide for the next 5 years. I would have sent the government into...
But Mr. Mahfood is not the first one to put forward that argument that we need to restrain the wage bill. And as you rightfully pointed out, the political precariousness of it has prevented any finance minister over the last few years from even suggesting any cuts to the civil service.
But the fact is,
it is a political reality that the civil service... And we can name the groups. I'm not going to name them this evening. We can name the groups. Have a serious political control over what a government can and cannot do.
Right, because one of them, they are politically garrisoned. Right. You see, Mr. Mafu, he has to understand one thing. You see, he has to think wisely. You see, we see where he's coming from, but the people has just give the Holness administration a third-term mandate. And the Holness administration cannot turn its back on the people like that. Same one people? Mr. Mafu, come on, man. Please, come on, man.
How do you suggest to get the result then?
Straight, man. Drink your tea and drink it straight and don't put no teaspoon of scotch inside there, man.
How do you suggest we get to that, reducing the public sector wage bill? There's only two ways to do that, realistically, grow the economy or restrain the wage bill. Those are the only two options.
Grow the economy, grow the economy and ensure that through investment and commerce, we get more investors to come in the country, create more jobs, right, and try our best. Don't do any form of overspending, right? Thank God the Holness administration for the past 9 years since it has been in office don't have to borrow from Bobby and pay Sandre and Chevron.
But how does that work in an environment where the civil service, through their various unions, are requesting a certain increase in their salary versus an economy that is only growing at about 1.4% a year?
What we can do, and I know the Prime Minister and Minister Favour Williams and Minister Floyd Green and Minister Frank Witter is listening to me. You see, through agriculture, right, we can have more production coming on through agriculture, and in that sector, it can boost up the economy some more, right, and swell our GDP to a record high. Right, so we don't have to talk about one cut public sector jobs and send them home. No, that would be political poison.
I have to disagree with you, Bobby.
No, Chevron.
It's not a matter of cutting the jobs, It's a matter, as I said, it's a matter of restraining the wage bill. How we go about doing that is really going to come down to the numbers, because the options are, as I said, you restrict how much you're going to pay the public sector, or you grow the economy. But you have to remember, it is not the government's duty to grow the economy. The government's duty is to provide the environment by which the economy can grow. It is the private sector that grows the economy. This constant hope and pushing for the government must do more, is not going to get us to the levels of growth that we require. It is going to be the private sector that provides that level of capital and economic development that pushes the country forward.
But Chevron, I know Mr. Mafu is hearing you, so he can advise his group to assist to grow.
How does the private sector do that when they can't find people? How the private sector do that when they can't find people?
But the fact is, you see, the one last thing I would like to put out to Mr. Mafu. Mr. Mafu, Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Andrew Michael Holness, is the first and only Prime Minister I have ever seen this country get fired out who cares for the people of Jamaica. And when somebody is out of a job, right, and enough work is not being in the economy, this man go the length and breadth of his job to ensure that more jobs are created. In terms of when more jobs created, children can stay here in Jamaica, work and study to grow the economy. Mr. Holness is a man that cares. He is not a man who turns his back on the people of Jamaica. Thank you very much.
All right, Bobby, I hear you. I get what Bobby is saying. I don't think anybody wants anybody to lose their job, But, I mean, I did find it ironic when I looked in both the parties' manifesto and talked about we're going to create X amount of jobs over the years. But I said, okay, let's say you create 60,000 jobs over the next 5 years. Where are you going to find the people to fill the 60,000 jobs when you have an unemployment rate of 3.3%?
That's the reality.
So and then it becomes a matter, we don't want to bring in labor from overseas. We don't want to essentially restructure the public sector in such a way that those workers can be absorbed by the private sector. So what is the solution? I suppose that is for bigger heads to find, because I don't think what Mr. Mahfood put forward is unreasonable. He's talking about restraining the public sector, making it more efficient, therefore it providing the platform for the private sector to do better and grow the economy. And part of that argument is
very good model.
And part of the argument is, yes, if you are going to make the public sector more efficient, more streamlined, it will require a certain level of redundancy in terms of people having to be let go or otherwise moved out of the system over a period of time to find work in the private sector. I don't think that's avoidable.
It's not, and it's a very difficult conversation that governments just don't want to have, but it's something that it's a reality. We have to look at it, and something that must be done.
But unfortunately, listeners, we're out of time. So thanks to Damian Cunningham, our navigator for this evening. Thanks to our super producer, Dana Davey. And thanks to all my friends and compatriots in the news department and the production department, led by the very capable Ricardo Brooks. And thanks to all of you in YouTube and in Radio Land, Jacqueline Thomas, Glory, Mark Peart, Kingsley Graham, and Sharon Bless. I'm sure Marigold is there. I don't see her name, but I'm sure Marigold is there, so I'm going to say Marigold nonetheless. Thank you all for joining us this evening. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis, wishing for you a wonderful evening.
Stop the sneeze. Grab some DPH.
I'm congested. DPH.